Chapter 1. Charlie. A few days ago. I've been called a lot of things. Driven, focused, a bit obsessed with nutrition, but my favorite moniker has got to be Fitness Femme. Why? Because as strange as it sounds, I love exercise. And not just the gains of exercise. Yes, defined biceps and shoulders are amazing. But I also enjoy the hard work of exercise. I love watching people do more than they thought they could. I live vicariously through the joy they experience as they watch their body change. But my favorite thing is watching people push themselves so hard that sweat drips down their foreheads like they've just run a marathon in the Sahara. Some people might find that strange, but it's true. Because it means I'm doing my job, and I'm good at it. Last set, everyone. Let's get those knees high, I shout, my voice echoing back against the mirrored walls of the exercise room. Beads of sweat are carving paths down my back, but I can't stop smiling. It's like I have an IV of adrenaline shooting right into my veins. There's a kind of rush that comes from leading a group class, and I am riding that wave right now. 30 seconds. You guys can do it. I can feel my heart pounding in my ears, but I keep pushing, determined to be a good example for the men and women in front of me. My eyes scan the class, making sure everyone is giving it their all. They land on Serena. She's been coming for the last few months. When she first showed up, she was so shy and withdrawn that she wouldn't even make eye contact with the treadmill. But now, she's a beast. Not only has she begun to emerge from her shell, but her form is perfect. She never quits, and some days she barely seems to break a sweat. She's exactly the type of person I'd like to hire to replace me when I get the promotion. Great job, Serena. You're killing it. Her face lights up at the encouragement, and though I wouldn't have thought it possible, she pumps her knees a little higher. The alarm on my phone sounds, signaling the end of class. There is an audible sigh of relief throughout the room as people drop to their knees. But I don't take it personally. I wish we could go just a bit longer, but we can't. Damon, the yoga guy, has the room next, and he is a stickler for time. He treats the mat like sacred ground, and if I ran long, he would probably start doing some deep breathing protest. All right, everyone, let's begin our cool down. I lead them through a few exercises designed to slow their heart rate and stretch their muscles. Though everyone in the room is tired and sweaty, I can feel the positive energy floating through the air, and I'm pretty sure I see two people who were just strangers a week ago giving each other a congratulatory fist bump. That's what I love about working out. You can come in having a bad day, but the endorphins will go to work on you, and before you know it, your day has turned around. When the last stretch is finished, I dismiss the class and begin cleaning up for Damon. Not only is he strict about time, but he can't stand it if anything in the studio is out of place when he comes in. And he's the type to count all the dumbbells to make sure they're all there. Like someone is going to walk out with a 10-pound dumbbell hidden in their bag. Excuse me, Charlie? I turn at the soft voice to see the woman who joined the class for the first time today. She came in a little late, so I didn't get her name at the beginning. So I'm delighted she stayed. I hate not knowing the name of the people in my group. It's one thing I pride myself on. I just wanted to say thank you. I haven't always loved exercising, but that was actually fun. A warmth spreads through my chest. I never tire of hearing things like this. I'm glad. Thank you for joining us today and giving class a chance. What's your name? Chloe, she says shyly. Well, Chloe, will you be joining us again next week? Her face lights up. Definitely. I return the smile and watch her bounce out of the studio before I return to cleaning up. Wow, Charlie, that was amazing. You're like a fitness fairy sprinkling motivational dust wherever you go. I chuckle as I turn around to see Belle and my other roommates entering the studio. Motivational dust? Really, Belle? I think Belle means that your energy is contagious, though less glittery, Piper says matter-of-factly. Speak for yourself, Katie says with a wide grin. I'm pretty sure I saw droplets glistening in the air like a superhero origin movie or something. I shake my head as a laugh escapes. Only Katie would come up with something like that. What are you guys even doing here? Don't you have lives or something? Belle is a social media influencer and part-time cosmetologist, so she might be off right now. But Katie works for an ad agency. Piper works in computer programming, and Hannah works in a clinic, so it's pretty odd for them all to have time off in the middle of the day. We do, but we thought we'd see if you could join us for lunch. Maybe in celebration? Hannah asks cautiously. Ugh, I wish. I mean, I'll definitely join you for lunch, but they haven't announced the new manager yet. 2 weeks ago, the manager gave notice that she was leaving. We all put our names in the hat for becoming the new manager, but they haven't announced it yet. I've been here the longest, and I have the most clients, so it would only make sense that it was me. However, I'm starting to get nervous that there's been no decision yet. Oh, Charlie, that's awful. How long are they going to make you wait? Belle asks. I shrug, wishing I had the answer to that question. Who knows? It can't be too much longer, right? It is highly unusual for a company to take beyond the 2-week notice the departing manager gave, Piper says, rattling off statistics like the machine she is. So soon then, I say with a sigh. Well, even though we don't have anything to celebrate, do you guys still want to get lunch? Absolutely. We aren't going to tease you with food and then just leave you, Hannah says. What do you feel like? What I really feel like is some pasta smothered in cheese and loaded with calories. But I know I'll regret it later if I do that. The calories alone would haunt me, plus I wouldn't feel up to teaching the rest of my classes this afternoon. It amazes me how so many people don't understand that food is fuel, and eating the right kind of food is what will help your body function at its best. Let's go to Cardinals, I say. Though not my favorite place, the restaurant uses real ingredients, and it's cooked fresh. 2 things that help lower calories when you're eating out. How did I know you were going to pick that? Katie asks with a roll of her eyes. Seriously, we should give you the 8-ball and make you use it when picking restaurants. One thing I love about my friends is that we have fun together. Sometimes that involves dares, and the 8-ball was Katie's. She had to consult it for nearly a month for every decision. Unfortunately, it happened at a pretty bad time when she was vying for a promotion. But it all worked out in the end when she ended up with Derek, the guy she'd been partnered with, and the promotion. Ha ha. I stick my tongue out at her and follow my friends out of the gym. The sun is shining brightly, and I lift my face to soak it in. But I don't feel the rush of happy emotions that I normally do. This job is still looming over my head, and I don't know if I'll ever be truly content until the decision is made. Chapter 2. Zane. I stand outside the boss's door and take a deep breath. Carl's email was a little cryptic, so this could either be very good or very bad. I knock on the door and open it when the boss says to come in. The office is warm, decorated in tans and navy blues, and my feet sink into the plush carpet as I cross the room toward the large mahogany desk. You wanted to see me, sir? He nods and points to the chair across from his desk. I've been going over your work. It's quite impressive. Thank you, sir. I'm ready for more responsibility whenever you have something open. It's a risk to sound so eager, but I have a good feeling this might be my break, the move-up I've been looking for. That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about, he says, finally looking up from his screen and at me. There is a management position open, so I'd like to ask you a few questions to determine if you would be a good fit. Absolutely, sir. I'm an open book. What would you like to know? Carl tilts his head and studies me for a minute before glancing down at a sheet of paper on his desk. Tell me about your leadership style. What kind of manager do you think you would be? I nod and take a moment to gather my thoughts. Well, I think I'd be fair. I'm a hard worker, so I would value that. And I don't believe in shortcuts or quick fixes. I believe that it's better to do it right the first time. I see. And what would you do to help a business that was struggling? That depends on the business, of course. But I would try to think outside the box to bring new customers in. Maybe some community event to advertise the business and get more people involved. Carl clasps his hands together and leans back. That's good to hear. I think you're exactly what this place needs. I lean forward in my seat. This is what I've been waiting for. I'd love to jump into a management position. What is it? Carl takes a deep breath and fixes me with a pointed stare. It's a gym. A gym? I blink in surprise. That was definitely not what I was expecting. Yes, Pinnacle Fitness to be exact. They need someone who can fix the financial situation there. It's a good gym, but it has some issues. You not only have fitness experience, but the financial background that they need. Yes, but... But what? You want a management position, don't you? Of course I do, sir. Carl doesn't know about my knee injury. Not many people do. But the way he's looking at me right now leads me to believe he wouldn't care if he did. It's not that I don't still work out, but there are things I can't do, and I really don't want anyone finding out about them. But as a manager, I suppose I won't be leading classes, and this job will have the added benefit of a gym membership I don't have to pay for. Thank you, Carl. This means the world to me, and I won't let you down. When do I start? 2 days from today, but I do need to warn you about something. He leans back in his chair and folds his hands in his lap. Is he going to tell me this job is only temporary? That wouldn't be great, but at least it's doubtful anyone would find out my secret if I'm not there for long. Or maybe he's going to tell me that it's probationary. That would be a little worse. I'm a hard worker, but things can still crop up. And if this is a make-it-or-break-it job, then it adds a little more pressure. But I can deal with pressure. What is it? There were several applicants who currently work in the gym. Many of them will be expecting to get the promotion and may not take kindly to us hiring someone from the outside. However, we feel that your background will really help them get to the next level. I just wanted you to be prepared, as it may be a bit of a rough transition. Understood, sir. Though I'm excited to prove my worth, the idea of a staff of people who don't want me there does make it slightly less appealing. But I've worked in difficult situations before. I'll just have to see how bad it is and try to win them over afterwards. I'm sure it'll be fine. We certainly hope so. I'm afraid you have a tough job ahead of you. Pinnacle has been losing money the last few months. And if we don't get it turned around quickly, then I'm afraid we may lose the gym. Ah, so it could be temporary, though not in the way I expected. Good thing I thrive on pressure, because there is no way I'm letting this gym close. Failure is not an option. We won't let that happen, sir. You have my word.
Good. I knew we could count on you. I'll send over the details of your contract shortly, but feel free to take the rest of the day off to research, and welcome to the Pinnacle family.
We shake hands, and then I head back to my cubicle. Manager of Pinnacle Fitness. It's not quite the job I was expecting, but it will get me out of this cubicle and into a real office. That's definitely a start. However, I don't know anything about this gym. So as soon as I sit down, I type the name in the search bar to see what I can find. When the website comes up, I groan. It's woefully outdated and clunky and will have to be completely redone. I'm not an expert in website design, so we'll probably have to outsource it, and that will mean money. However, in today's age, you simply can't have a clunky website. I scroll through the parts I can access. There is a class schedule listed, but the times are erratic. And though instructors are named, there is nothing about them. No picture, no background, nothing. If I were attending a gym for the first time, I would want to at least see a picture so I would know who I was looking for. And so I could make sure they knew what they were doing. I hate the idea of judging a book by its cover, but let's face it, I want someone who is fit teaching me how to be fit. And it would definitely be a deciding factor in my choice of a gym. However, there are no pictures of the staff anywhere on the website, though there are pictures of the machines. They, at least, appear to be updated and in good shape. The studio also looks nice, though it's hard to know how big it is for sure from a picture. I'll want to see the financial reports of Pinnacle as well, so I shoot an email to the finance department to ask for them. Then I turn to the reviews, which, thankfully, are good. At least we won't be having to overhaul the image as well. A tap at the side of my cubicle draws my attention, and I look up to see my friend Nate standing there.
Hey, a little birdie told me you finally got a management position. What do you say we get some lunch to celebrate? A little birdie, huh?
I click over to my email, and sure enough, there is a memo from Carl, letting everyone know about my promotion.
Well, I guess he wants to make sure I don't change my mind. Change your mind? Why would you do that? A management position is what you want, right? Yeah, but this one isn't exactly what I was hoping for.
I turn off my monitor and grab my coat from the back of my chair before following him to the parking lot.
Why not? I figured with your background this would be right up your alley.
I look down at my leg.
You know why?
Nate is one of the few people who knows about my injury, as we've worked out together before. Nate rolls his eyes.
That's not going to keep you from being a great manager. Besides, you still work out. You know your way around weights and machines. How hard could it be? I think there's a little more to it than that. There's the financial side to consider. Evidently, this gym is struggling a little, which means I'm going to have to cut programs and find money. There are also trainers who are probably used to setting their own schedules and might not appreciate if I have to cut back their hours. Plus, the little I could find out about their class schedule tells me it's a bit of a mess. So I'll have to restructure it, and they need a complete website overhaul. Nate waves a hand as we reach his truck. That's no big deal. You can handle that.
He unlocks the doors and we climb inside.
Now, where are we eating?
How about Cardinals? There are a few good restaurants on the main drag, but Cardinals is my favorite. Nate nods and points the truck in that direction. A few minutes later, he pulls into the very full parking lot and scours the lot for an empty space. But there's nothing. We end up parking on the street about a block away and walking to the restaurant.
I hope it's not as busy inside or we'll be late getting back to work,
I say, as we reach the front entrance.
No worries, we can take a little longer for your celebration.
It's a good thing, because the line is long and appears to be moving at a snail's pace. I glance at my watch at least 3 times before we reach the front of the line, And just as I open my mouth to place my order, I'm interrupted by a woman with a long ponytail who leans in front of me. "Sorry to interrupt," she says, barely throwing a glance my way. "But we've been waiting for our food for half an hour. I have to get back to work soon. Can you give me an idea of how long it's going to be?"
"Excuse me," I say, glaring at her. She glances at me again and furrows her forehead.
"Excuse you for what?"
"For what? You cut in line. I was just about to place my order."
"It's not cutting in line to ask a question. I've already placed my order and am simply waiting on food. I'm not trying to order in front of you." She turns back to the cashier, clearly done with me, and waits for his reply on the status of her food.
"It's still rude," I mutter under my breath. But if she hears me, she doesn't acknowledge it.
"Sorry, we are short-staffed today," the cashier says. "It should only be another minute or two."
She sighs impatiently.
"Fine, but if it's not at our table in 5 minutes, we'll have to leave without it, and I'll expect a refund."
The cashier nods and she steps back, sweeping her arm in front of me as if gesturing that now it's my turn. "Sorry about her," I say to the cashier, when I'm sure the woman is out of earshot. "Some people just don't deal with the wait well."
"Thank you,"
the cashier says, clearly relieved. Nate and I place our orders and then turn to find a seat. Unfortunately, the only table I see is a small table by the window. But there are 2 problems with it. First, the table is right next to the one with the rude woman, and second, it's missing a chair. Well, do we go there and wait for a seat to open up?" I ask Nate. He shrugs. "It doesn't appear we have much of a choice. We'll just keep an eye out for the first open seat." We make our way over to the table, and Nate motions for me to take the chair as he leans against the table. Immediately, the temperature shifts, and I glance over to see the woman glaring at me. I glare back, and then shift in my chair so my focus is out the window and no longer on them. Most of the people I've met in this town have been amazing, but I suppose there has to be a worm in every large batch of apples. At least I haven't seen this woman around before, and probably won't again. The town is small, but not that small. A moment later, a waiter arrives with their food and issues a plethora of apologies. And though I expect to hear more rude comments, the women seem to accept the food graciously and begin eating. Nate manages to snag an empty chair shortly after that, and by the time our food arrives, the women at the next table are finished, and we get to enjoy our lunch in peace.
Chapter 3. Charlie. I can tell when I walk into the gym that something is wrong. The atmosphere has changed. There's a stiffness in the air that isn't usually there. "What's going on?" I ask Beth, who's working behind the counter today. She shares the duty with a few other people, but Beth is definitely my favorite. She likes to have fun and always has a joke for me when I come in. Well, every day except today, it seems. She glances around as if expecting someone to yell at her or jump out from around the corner. "They hired someone." "Wait, what? For the manager position?" She presses her lips together and nods. "I can't believe it. I know a company isn't required to tell you that you didn't get the job, but I expected Pinnacle to, since I already work for them. The least they could have done was come here in person and introduce the new manager to us." Disappointment and bitterness swirl in my stomach, but I push them down. I may not agree with their choice, but I'll be the bigger person. "Who did they pick? Was it Randy?" "He's been here almost as long as I have, and he's good with the customers. He was definitely my biggest competition." Beth shakes her head. "No? Gabe, then?" "That would shock me. Gabe was a manager before joining us, so that part I could understand. But he's only been here 6 months. She shakes her head again. They went with someone outside the gym. What? I feel like a broken record, but I can't believe it. I've given years to this company, as have many others, and none of us were seen as qualified enough. His name is Zane Adams, and he's... She pauses and bites on her bottom lip. Intense. Intense? That's not usually the word you want describing your boss. But the company clearly saw something in him, so he can't be that bad. Okay, what else? I'm hoping that she'll give me a little of the tea. Beth usually has her finger on everything that's going on around here, so she's a good source of information. But today, she just shakes her head. Evidently, he works for Pinnacle's corporate office. He's definitely not Sheila, she says softly. But I think you need to meet him for yourself. Then she presses her lips together so tightly that they flatten into a tight line. And I know she isn't going to say any more. All right, I'll find out what this new guy is like myself then. He can't be nearly as bad as Beth is making him out to be. After all, we work at a gym. People are supposed to have fun, push themselves, and then relax a little. I head toward the employee area to drop my stuff. But I'm stopped along the way. Sheila's old office is just before the employee area, and there are boxes cluttering the desk that weren't there before. This must be the new guy's stuff. I'm about to enter and introduce myself when I see a man pop up from behind the boxes on the desk. He's wearing a dark shirt that stretches across his wide shoulders, but I can still see the muscles underneath. And he is handsome. Like chiseled features leading man handsome. But there's a scowl etched into his face. Clearly, this does not look like the best time to introduce myself, so I continue to the employee area. As I push open the door, though, I pause. Something about him tickles the back of my mind, but I can't figure out what it is. After dropping my bag into my locker, I grab my schedule for the day. It's a pretty light day today. I have Penelope in half an hour. She's been a client for 6 months now and is finally getting the results I was hoping for. When she came in, she was obese, but also full of excuses. She couldn't walk a mile. She couldn't lift more than 5 pounds. She couldn't work out longer than 10 minutes. It took me almost 3 weeks to get her to believe in herself. But once she trusted me, she began making great strides. The weight started falling off her, and though she has another few pounds she wants to lose. She's almost to her goal, and then she probably won't need my help anymore. The thought makes me a little sad. I love helping people and seeing them become better versions of themselves, but I hate it when they no longer need me. I get to know these clients on a personal level, and then one day they're just gone. I try to think of them like little birds that finally learn to fly and leave the nest, but it is hard. After Penelope is Kenneth. He's a much harder case. No matter what I tell him, he likes to argue with me. In fact, he'll go home after a workout, Google things about the exercises, and then bring them in for the next appointment to show me what we should have done differently, or why he can't do what I'm asking again. I'm actually not sure why he's still coming, except that I think his wife made him. She comes sometimes to work out and clearly takes care of herself. It's got to be frustrating for her to try and help him and be met with such resistance. I know it is when I try to cook for my roommates, and all they do is complain about the food. Still, he's definitely one of my harder cases. After him, there's a new client, a class I teach, and then lunch. Busy morning, but not terrible. Clipboard in hand, I head out to meet Penelope. But before I make it through the door, the new manager enters. Ugh, he's even better looking up close, and my throat dries up. He glances at me, and his expression pulls into a frown, though I'm not sure why. I swallow to try and get my throat working again, and then stick out my hand. Hi, I'm Charlie. I plaster on a smile. I guess you're the new manager? The niggling returns to my brain, and I study his face closely. I've seen him somewhere before, but I can't place where.
You work here?
Yeah? My hand slowly falls to my side. Have for years. Okay. Your turn.
My turn for what?
His frown deepens, and he folds his arms across his chest. I asked if you're the new manager. I stumble over the words because this was not how I hoped this scenario would go. I'd hoped to make a good first impression, but this man seems to dislike me even though we've just met, and I have no idea why. He looks at me as if I've said the stupidest thing imaginable.
Who else would I be?
Well, you could be a new client, though it seems you already know how to work out. So I'm not sure why you'd need our help. My eyes fall to his very muscular chest, and I wonder if he's hiding a six-pack under his shirt as well. I shake my head to clear the thought and lift my gaze back to where it belongs. His face.
Definitely not a client.
He leans back and looks me over.
I'm going to guess from your reaction that you don't remember me.
Remember him? How could I remember him when we've just met? And then it hits me, and my mouth falls open. It can't be. It was bad enough that they hired outside our community, but did they have to hire this guy, the jerk from the restaurant? Though I know I've made a terrible first impression, I don't apologize. Instead, I double down. I do now, and I have to wonder what corporate was thinking. He glares at me and narrows his eyes.
I see your rudeness had little to do with your food, but I'm not surprised. Corporate hired me because I have a background in both fitness and finances. They believe I can elevate this gym, so that is what I'm going to do.
The voice in the back of my head is telling me to let it go, that this is not a fight I should pick. But I can't. It probably comes from years of playing sports as a girl and being told that I'd never be as good as the boys. Something I never accepted. I fold my arms across my chest, matching his posture. This gym is already elevated, thank you very much. We have great trainers and an amazing clientele. I check my watch to make sure I'm not late. Speaking of which, I have a client I need to meet with, so if you'll excuse me, I don't want to be late.
Staff meeting at 5 p.m. today,
he calls out from behind me as I exit the room. Staff meeting? Are we back in school or something? Suddenly I understand Beth's face, but I refuse to let this guy get under my skin. He might be the manager, but he also needs to learn that we know what works here, and he's going to have to get on board with us if he wants this to work. Penelope is waiting for me at the front counter when I reach it. At her smile, I feel the weight of the meeting with the new boss roll away. I can't believe how good she looks, how confident and happy she is. Hey, you ready to sweat today? Absolutely. I've got a wedding to get in shape for. She holds out her hand to show off the ring. And though I'm not a squealer, I find myself making the annoying noise before pulling her in for a hug. She hadn't dated much before due to a lack of confidence, but once she started believing in herself, men started coming out of the woodwork to date her. For a while, I worried about her as she dated one guy after the other, and I was afraid she would get sucked into a not great relationship. But finally, a good guy rose to the top and stole her heart. As we head to the first machine, Penelope leans in to whisper to me, "Who's the new hottie?" I don't even have to look around to realize she's probably talking about him. I grimace and scrunch up my nose. That's the new manager, Zane. "He's handsome. Maybe someone you could date?" Penelope says, waggling her eyebrows. "Oh, absolutely not," I say. "He may be handsome, but he's a little..." I want to say that he's a jerk, but that would be unprofessional. I consider Penelope a friend, but she's also a client. "Intense," I finish. "That's not always a bad thing, but I get it. You don't want to date your boss." I most certainly do not. I point to the first machine, a tricep dip machine. "Okay, last week you did 3 sets of 10 at 25 pounds, so we're shooting for 30 pounds today." She sits down and adjusts the weights, but her gaze is still fixed on something across the room. When she returns her focus to me, there is a mischievous gleam in her eyes that I do not like. "But how about someone who is not your boss?" "I don't know. Work is kind of my boyfriend right now." Penelope shakes her head. No way. You cannot be married to your work. You're young and amazing, and you deserve to have someone to share your life with." "Sure, and I'm certain one day that man will come along, but right now, I'm good. Now get to lifting." Penelope pulls back her shoulders and lifts her chin in the air. "I'll make a deal with you. I'll do the killer workout you've been wanting me to try if you let me set you up on some dates." "What?" There is an amazing workout I've been wanting to put Penelope through, but she's always brushed it off, claiming she could never do it. "I'm serious," she says. "Thanks to you, I'm following my passion and opening a matchmaking business, and I want you to be my first client." "Matchmaking? I thought you were a secretary." "I am," Penelope says, grimacing as she pushes down the weights. "But it's not my passion. I just never had the courage to pursue it before. Besides, who would want to take advice from a woman who couldn't find her own soulmate? But now that I have, I want to help others find what I have, and I want to start with you. So what do you say?" I want to say no. Blind dates never go well. But Penelope is staring at me with puppy dog eyes. She's come so far, and I don't want to dash her dreams by saying no. Besides, I really want her to do that workout. "Okay, fine. I'll be your first client. I just hope I won't regret it." Chapter 4. Zane. I cannot believe how unorganized everything is in this gym. How they've managed to keep the business running is beyond me. The protein powders are haphazardly flung on the shelves without rhyme or reason, and I've spent way too much time helping Beth organize them. "Remember, fruit flavors on the right and chocolate and vanilla flavors on the left," I say to Beth when we're finished. "Got it," she says, but there's a subtle annoyance in her tone. "Good. Now can I see the class schedule?" Though I looked this up online, I want to see what the gym gives to customers. It's clear the website doesn't get updated much, and I want to make sure I'm looking at the correct schedule when I start making changes. One of the things the company told me when they hired me was that they were spending too much money on employees and not bringing in enough to cover their salaries. If we want to keep them on, we have to bring more money in, and I'm hoping it will be an easy fix, like offering better classes or at times more convenient for customers.
I also plan on coming up with some deals on our powders and supplements.
She hands me the schedule and I gaze over it.
What is this class at 6 a.m.?
That's Charlie's Move It or Lose It class. It's a gentle workout for those who are just getting back into shape.
And how many people attend the class?
I can't imagine it's many. The one thing this gym does seem to have is people who understand working out. I haven't seen anyone that would fit the criteria she gave. 3 most days, unless one of them is sick. But Charlie is great. She'll hold the class even if there's only one. My eyebrows lift.
3? We're holding a class and taking an employee off the floor for an hour for 3 people?
Her face falls. They're very dedicated, and it's the only time they can come. They love her class. I shake my head.
It doesn't matter how much they love it. That's not a good use of time or money. I need you to draft a sign that states classes must have 5 members or they will be canceled.
She blinks at me, her face a portrait of disbelief. 5 members? Do you mean permanently or each time the class is scheduled?
Each time it's scheduled. If 5 people aren't here, then there's no reason to have the class.
But what if 4 show up ready to work out and the 5th person is sick?
Then they can use the machines like everyone else or do their own thing in the room, but they won't get the instructor unless there are 5.
She inhales and shakes her head. They aren't going to like that.
Well, this is a policy we need to make sure we're growing the classes and not paying people to stand around.
I skim the schedule again.
We offer a class at 9 p.m.?
Just 2 days a week, she says. But Charlie has a guy who works as a lawyer, and that's the only time he can come in.
Is he the only person in the class?
She shrugs, but it gives me my answer.
Absolutely not. If he's the only client, then he can pay for a personal training session. A class with 1 person is not included in our membership.
What's not included in our membership? I turn to see Charlie staring at me with arms folded across her chest. Her head is cocked to the side, and her eyebrows lifted in question.
Classes with just 1 participant. We will be canceling any classes that have fewer than 5 participants.
No, we won't, she says, shaking her head. I have regular clients who rely on those classes.
And they can keep attending classes, but they'll need to bring a friend or come at a different time.
You can't just come in here and change everything we do. She narrows her gaze at me. People expect things. They've grown accustomed to them.
Actually, I can come in here and change things. In fact, that's what I was hired to do. So your people will either have to adjust their expectations or...
Or what? I'm pretty sure they didn't hire you to run off all of our clients. She has me there. I can't exactly tell the people to go elsewhere because we need the business. But I can't say that out loud.
There will have to be some changes going forward, I say instead, and this is one of them.
Then, before she can say anything else, I head back to my office. There's more unpacking to do, and I need to come up with an answer before she presses me again. When I'm safely in the office, I shut the door and sink down into my chair. I can do this job. I know I can, but there are definitely some dynamics that are going to make that challenging, and Charlie appears to be one of those dynamics. I doubt she would have liked me even if we hadn't had that exchange in the restaurant the other day. The company told me she's been here the longest, and that she expected to get the promotion. But I think our first interaction made it harder for her to accept me as her boss. The reviews online tell me Charlie is a great trainer, but she must not know much about running a business or corporate would have hired her. However, I have to get her on my side because she's also influential, and if I want the employees to follow my lead, then I need to get Charlie to first, which may be easier said than done. Determined to delve into that more later, I turned my attention to the box of personal items I brought with me and began unpacking them. An expensive pen, a memento from my first season before the injury sidelined me, a chipped mug, a reminder that even injured I can be of use, and of course, a clock, because being on time is a priority. Once my desk is set up, I sit down and dive into the financial aspects of the company. This is where the biggest work will have to be done, so it's where I'll have to spend the most time learning the ins and outs. It's boring work, though, and as I start slogging through it, I'm tempted to grab one of the energy drinks we offer because I can feel my eyelids growing heavy. Just as my eyes are about to close, the sound of laughter filters through the door and wakes me up. Why is there laughter happening in the gym? I push back from my desk and open my office door. Charlie, Beth, and another woman I haven't met yet stand by the front desk. All three are covered in white powder and giggling.
"What's going on here?"
The laughter fades as they turn to face me. "It's my fault," Beth says apologetically. "I was having trouble getting the lid off the protein powder, and just as I did, someone dropped a weight and I jumped. The powder went everywhere, but don't worry, I'll clean it up."
"You bet you will, and I'll be deducting the cost of the powder from your salary."
"Wait a minute," Charlie says, stepping forward. "It was just an accident. Beth shouldn't be punished for that." I quirk an eyebrow and fix her with a pointed stare.
"Well, someone has to cover the cost of the protein powder. Would you rather it be you?"
Charlie folds her arms across her chest and fixes me with a pointed glare. "Fine, take it out of my pay, but I'm taking what's left with me." She grabs the canister forcefully and screws the lid back on, all the while eyeing me as if daring me to tell her no.
"Fine by me."
Though I should probably apologize and introduce myself to the unknown person still standing there gaping at me, I really hope they're not a client. I can't. I feel like I'm in a battle of wills with Charlie, and apologizing will throw it in her favor. So I simply turn around and walk back to my office. Chapter 5. Charlie. Can you believe him? I hiss under my breath as Zane returns to his office. It's his first day, Beth says softly as she grabs a roll of paper towels to start cleaning up the mess. Maybe it will get better. Wait, that's our new boss? Felicia asks, her eyes wide. Felicia is another one of our trainers. She only works part-time in the afternoons and evenings, though, because she attends school in the mornings. Yeah, ridiculous, right? I grab the broom from behind the counter and begin sweeping up the floor. I can't believe they went outside of our gym to hire him. What were they thinking? He must have some quality they were looking for, Felicia says, as she wipes the protein powder off her shirt. I can't imagine what. He's grumpier than Snow White's dwarf. I heard he has a background in finance as well as fitness, Beth says, pausing her cleanup. So maybe that's why. Maybe the gym is in financial trouble. What? No way. We'd know that, wouldn't we? But even as I ask the question, I'm not sure we would. The old manager used to give us financial updates, but I can't remember one in the last few months before she left. Do you really think the gym is in trouble? I don't know, but you heard him say we couldn't do classes unless they had 5 or more members in them. What? Felicia asks. Evidently, this is news to her, too. What about your Move It or Lose It class, or my kickboxing class? Felicia came from a kickboxing gym, and even though we're not set up the same way, she convinced the manager to get some gloves and pads so she could begin teaching a class. It's been small, but people seem to like it, so I have no doubt it will grow if she can continue it. I mean, most days I have 5, but not every time. Beth sighs and shakes her head. You both better find a way to get more people to attend them. I don't know how, I say. Those classes have been on the schedule for months. Maybe we can make some sort of offer to get more people interested, Felicia says. Like a discounted training session for anyone who tries our low-number classes for a week or something. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And maybe I can advertise them more. I'm already wondering if I can convince Belle to help me make some videos. Maybe she can even do some for the gym. If we really are in trouble, then more members can only be a good thing. That sounds like a good idea, Felicia says. Sorry I have to run, but I have a training session in 20 minutes, and I should probably clean up a bit before it. No worries, we've got this. I finish helping Beth clean up, and then I clock out and head home, practicing what I'll say to convince Belle to help me. She's at the stove when I enter, flipping pancakes. Pancakes. We're each in charge of a dinner one night a week, and Belle is making pancakes. To be fair, it's about the only thing she makes well, but still, there is very little protein in pancakes and no vegetables. I'm glad I had a big salad for lunch. Do you want some help with dinner? I don't really want to help unless it means I can whip up something high in protein and fiber, but I figure it's a good way to butter her up. You want to help me with dinner? She asks, her voice oozing with skepticism. Okay, I rarely offer to help her with dinner, but it's usually only because she chatters the whole time she cooks about hair products or makeup, and I have no idea what she's even talking about. My idea of makeup is the chapstick I carry in my pocket, and my hair is almost perpetually in a ponytail. Sure, I mean, if you need anything, I'm here, so why not? Her eyes are still narrowed at me, but finally she agrees. Fine, you can do the scrambled eggs. Perfect. I'll add a little cottage cheese to make them even higher in protein. It's the way I always cook mine anyway. So, how was your day? I ask as I grab the eggs and cottage cheese from the fridge. Belle takes the last pancake off the griddle and slides it on the plate with the others. Then she turns to me and puts her hands on her hips. What do you want, Charlie? I grab a bowl from the cupboard and pretend to be shocked. What do you mean? Can't I just ask how your day was without wanting something in return? Returning to the counter, I crack the eggs in a bowl and add the cottage cheese, mixing them together with the spoon that Belle hands me. Sure, you could, but you don't, she says. So spill. I sigh, frustrated with myself and her because she saw right through me. If I don't ask her about her day very often, what does that say about me as a friend? Okay, I do need a favor, but it's not really for me, it's for my clients. The new manager wants to close the classes that have fewer than 5 members, and I have 2 classes that generally only have 1 to 3 people, but those people are dedicated and it's the only time they can come. So, I was thinking maybe we could do a promotional social media post about those classes to try and drive more customers to them so they don't get canceled. Belle taps her lips. Okay, but on one condition. Condition? What condition? We host Popper's party in your gym. What? I shake my head. No way. The new boss is not going to go for that. Why not? You guys have the space with that big room. We could set it up when there are no classes and we'll promise to clean it up. I don't think you get it. Do you remember the guy I was telling you about the other day? The jerk from the restaurant?
She shrugs.
Yeah, and that guy is my new boss. Let's just say what I saw at the restaurant are his regular manners if today was any indication. There's no way he's going to let us throw a party in the gym. In one room of the gym, she corrects, shaking the spatula at me. Besides, just tell him how many videos I plan to do to promote the gym, and I'm sure he'll get on board.
I sigh. I doubt it, but I'll try. If I do, though, can some of those videos be specifically for my classes? I cross to the stove and pour the egg mixture into a skillet.
Of course. You know I've been trying to get you to go online for ages. I'm happy to turn you into an Instagram celebrity.
In addition to Belle working as a cosmetologist, she is also a social media influencer. I still don't understand everything she does, but it allows her to pay her bills, so it must work. I don't need to be a celebrity. I just need more people to attend my classes, but thank you.
You're welcome, and I'm sorry you didn't get the promotion, but tell me more about the new boss. Is he cute?
She scoops up the pancakes and puts them on the plate.
You don't remember him from the restaurant?
The eggs are starting to come together, so I add a little salt to give them some flavor.
No, but I didn't interact with him like you did. Come on, though, answer the question.
I sigh and roll my eyes. Yes, he's good looking, but he's a total jerk. Besides, he's my boss, so don't go getting any ideas. Belle grabs plates from the cupboard and heads to the table to set it.
I wasn't getting ideas, but I bet you'll get men asking you out when we get your videos up.
I don't need men asking me out.
Do you know he tried to charge Beth for some spilled protein powder when it wasn't even her fault? He did? Well, that's not right. Did he say why?
No, but Beth thinks the gym might be in financial trouble.
Oh no, do you think it is?
I turn the stove off and grab a plate for the eggs as I ponder my answer. I don't know. I guess it's possible. I mean, it's either that or this guy is a real cheapskate.
Or maybe it's both,
Belle says with a smile. Maybe. Either way, I've got to find a way to get more people to my classes and more people to the gym.
Don't worry, I'm already thinking of some great ideas.
The front door opens and Katie, Piper, and Hannah all enter. Katie takes one look at the table and laughs.
I told you it was breakfast for dinner.
And we agreed with you, Piper says, her tone full of confusion.
I told you that the statistical analysis told me that there was a 70% chance or greater that breakfast would be served.
Belle folds her arms across her chest.
You ran a statistical analysis on what I would make for dinner?
Only a limited one that I could do in my head in the time from the parking lot to the front door, Piper says, as if this should be entirely obvious to the rest of us.
Don't worry though, Belle,
Hannah says as she takes her place at the table.
We like your breakfast for dinners.
Belle shoots her a smile.
Thank you.
We sit down around the table, and I try to pay attention as my friends share their stories from the day, but I can't. I'm too worried about my classes, about the gym in general, and about Zane. What if he never loosens up? Can I continue to work at a place I dread running into my boss? But could I give up my job? Could I see myself doing anything else?
Hello, Earth to Charlie.
Huh? I look up to see all four of my friends staring at me.
Sorry, what? I asked how your day was,
Hannah says.
Oh, it was okay. I found out I didn't get the manager position, and the new manager is challenging,
I say,
choosing my words carefully. He wants to cancel any of our classes that have fewer than 5 members. But I'm sure it will get better. In fact, Belle is going to help me make some videos to advertise my classes to try and get more people in. Do you think that will work? Katie asks. I mean, do people choose workout classes from videos they see online? Not necessarily, but if I can get them to the gym, then I think I can convince them to take the classes. Besides, it's worth a shot. Otherwise, I'm going to have some very disappointed clients. Well, we'll help however we can, Hannah says. I'm happy to hang a flyer at my work. I can do that as well, Piper says, though I'm not sure how many people would be influenced by it. Thanks, guys. You really are the best friends a girl could ask for. And I mean it. We may be very different in a lot of areas, but the one thing we have in common is our loyalty. We would do anything for each other. And though I think I've always understood that, I don't think I appreciated it until this moment. Chapter 6. Zane. I'm exhausted when I finally get back to my apartment, but the smell of garlic and basil that greets me when I enter perks me up a little. My roommate Parker looks up from the stove as I shut the door behind me. Parker works at an insurance agency, but I'm not sure why. He really wants to be a chef, and he should, because he's amazing. At least I get to enjoy his food. Hey, I hope you're hungry, he says as I drop my bag on the floor. I'm testing out a new pesto pasta recipe. I'm starving. I didn't get a lot of time to eat today. How is the new job? He turns off the burner and grabs 2 plates from the cupboard. It's a lot of work. The place is so unorganized that I spend unnecessary time helping the receptionist organize their protein powder selection. Parker grins. By name or by color? Ha ha, very funny. I grab a Coke from the fridge and the plate that Parker hands to me and then make my way to the table. I'm serious. You know, you're a bit of a perfectionist about some things, and I highly doubt that the protein powder situation was life or death. I scowl at him. Nothing at the gym is life or death, but I'm there to help them make more money, which means that things have to be organized, and that includes the protein powders. All right, I hear you. So other than the protein fiasco, how did it go? I sigh and take a bite of the food as I think about how best to answer his question. It's going to be a challenge for sure. Carl told me it might be, but there are definitely some strong personalities. There's one woman in particular who is going to be a struggle. I shake my head as I think about Charlie and how I'm going to win her over. What kind of a struggle? She's opinionated for one, and seems to be the leader of the gym, so I have to win her over. Patrick lifts an eyebrow as he twirls some pasta on his fork. Opinionated and the leader of the pack. Sounds like a challenge right up your alley. This is not the kind of challenge I signed up for. Actually, it's exactly the kind of challenge you signed up for. Do you think managing is easy, or that you'll always have model employees who do everything you say? Was that what I had been expecting? I didn't think so, at least not consciously, but maybe subconsciously it was. No, I guess not, but it's only my first day. I don't think it's supposed to be this hard. Patrick shrugs. Then find a way to make it less hard. That's the problem, though. How do I do that? Patrick tilts his head, his fork hovering midair as if he's about to deliver sage wisdom. You charm her, obviously. Everyone has a soft spot. Find hers. I scoff. Charm her? I'm pretty sure this woman eats men for breakfast. I'm not sure there is anything that would charm her. Patrick presses his lips together and lifts an eyebrow. Of course there is. Every person has a soft spot.
And women, even tough as nails women, definitely do. I don't know, she was pretty annoyed when I told the receptionist she had to purchase the protein powder she spilled. If she has a soft spot, I'm almost certain it's a punching bag with my name on it.
Parker bursts out laughing, nearly choking on his pasta.
You tried to charge an employee for an accident? Dude, you have got to loosen up or they are going to eat you alive. I was hired to cut costs, I say, a little too defensively. I can't have the company covering the cost of unusual protein powder. So, yeah, I told her she had to pay for it. Apparently, that makes me the villain.
Well, Parker says, wiping tears of laughter from his eyes.
You've got your work cut out for you, but seriously, you need a strategy. What's her favorite drink? How should I know? Did you not hear that this woman hates me? We didn't really sit around and shoot the breeze over our likes and dislikes. Then maybe that's your problem.
Parker sets his fork down and leans forward like he's plotting a heist.
You've got to find out about your employees. Let them share about themselves, what they want to see done with the place. People like being heard, even if they're secretly planning your downfall.
I frown, swirling my fork in the pasta.
What if they never get on board? I can't do this job if the entire staff hates me.
Parker waves dismissively.
Hate is a strong word. They probably just strongly dislike you for now. Big difference. Thanks for the pep talk, I say,
my expression deadpan. He smirks.
Look, this Charlie sounds tough, but does she know her stuff?
I shrug.
I don't know for sure, but it seems like it. Well, find out. Maybe go to one of her classes,
Parker says, as if it's the most obvious solution in the world.
Attend her class? Do you have any idea how awkward that would be?
Parker grins and shakes his head.
Not as awkward as organizing protein powders by color. Seriously, Zane, if you want people to follow you, then you've got to get in the trenches. Show them you're one of them and not just some number-crunching outsider.
I sigh and roll my eyes.
Why do I talk to you? Because I'm a culinary genius and the only person who will tell you the truth.
Parker piles more pasta onto his plate. I wish I could say he's wrong, but other than Nate, who I might not see again for a while, Parker is my closest friend.
Fine, I'll figure out what Charlie likes, and maybe I'll try her class. But if this backfires and she uses me as a kettlebell demonstration, I'm blaming you.
Parker sits back down and lifts his glass of water and a toast.
To your survival.
I click my drink against his, but I'm already dreading what tomorrow might bring. Chapter 7. Charlie. I find my feet dragging for the first time when I enter the gym the next morning. I'm excited for my class, but the thought of asking Zane about the party makes my stomach churn. Thankfully, I won't even have a chance until after my first few classes. After greeting Beth, who looks a little more frazzled than normal, evidently I'm not the only one affected by Zane, I head to the employee area to clock in and put my bag away. I take just a moment to check my reflection in the mirror before heading to the big room for my class. This is my Shake It Till You Make It dance class, so I put on some upbeat music to get me in the mood and wait for the regulars to show up. Tommy is the first one in. He's one of my favorites. A bit stiff like Katie's Derek when he first started, he now gives the dance his all and doesn't care what he looks like. When my watch shows 8 a.m., I begin the warm-up and then change the song to Uptown Funk. The pulsing beat fills the room and I lead the dance, throwing my body into the rhythm. Let's get those hips shaking, people. Remember, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. I have more serious classes, but this is what fitness should be about. Joy, community, and a little bit of chaos. The song changes, and I holler out, "Freestyle! Tommy, give me your best robot dance!" As Tommy breaks into a hilariously stiff routine, laughter erupts around us. My heart sings, and suddenly the problems that were weighing on me this morning seem ages away. I love these moments when inhibitions melt away and pure fun takes over. And I know that some people might see my methods as unconventional, but the results speak for themselves. Now, everybody shimmy! I'm mid-shake when the door swings open and the energy in the room shifts. Zane strides in, his presence as subtle as a gunshot and his mood dark like an impending storm. My stomach does an unwelcome flip as his steely gaze sweeps over the class. Great. This probably won't end well.
"What is going on here?" he demands over the music.
"Exercise. It's shake it till you make it. You want to join us?" He narrows his eyes at me.
"I most certainly do not. This is supposed to be a fitness class, not a circus."
"Circus? How dare he?" "It's not a circus," I say, trying to keep the smile on my face. "It's a dance class, and in case you didn't notice, everyone here is having fun." Zane shakes his head and then crosses to the stereo and turns it off. A chorus of groans fills the air, and then the silence falls, heavy and thick, until Tommy speaks up. "Oh man, we were just getting to the good part."
"I'm sorry," Zane says, folding his arms across his chest. "But this isn't the kind of class we—"
"What isn't the kind of class?" Tommy interrupts, matching Zane's stance.
"A class that's fun? Isn't that what exercise is supposed to be? Fun doesn't get results."
"Excuse me?" My jaw falls open in shock at Zane's word, but that shock quickly morphs into a fiery indignation that courses through my veins. What kind of fitness manager doesn't want clients to have fun? I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but this is unacceptable, and I may have to write to corporate about it. They need to realize they might have made a colossal mistake. I didn't realize fun was a dirty word.
"It's not. That's not what I meant," he stutters, glancing around the room. "Just come and see me when class is over."
When Zane leaves, I apologize to the class and turn the music back on. We finish the class, but it doesn't have the same energy it did before. Frustrated, I head to Zane's office, trying to calm the fire raging inside me before I confront him. Reacting with anger never solves anything, but it's taking every ounce of my resolve not to. "What was the meaning of that?" I ask when I enter his office. "Those people were having a blast and getting their hearts pumping. They were enjoying the workout until you came in."
"I'm sorry," he says. "I shouldn't have interrupted your class, but we're not here to be a dance party. We're here to get measurable results and grow the gym membership, and a dance party isn't going to do that." I scoff and throw my hands up in exasperation. Are you kidding me? Results and fun aren't mutually exclusive, Zane. These people come every time I have this class, and some of them have told their friends. Sarah, the older woman with short gray hair, started coming because her daughter told her about it. And Tommy often brings someone to class. At least 2 people he's brought have signed up for memberships. So don't tell me a fun dance class isn't going to bring people in, because I've seen it work. Sucking the joy out of exercise, however, won't bring people in. It will just limit their potential. Did you even do research on this gym before you started trying to dismantle it? His jaw tightens, and I know I've hit a nerve. Of course I did research. What I could, anyway. This gym has a limited online presence, which is something else we need to change.
Sure, our website could be updated, but that has nothing to do with my classes. I take a step closer. Not everyone thrives on weights and HIIT programs, you know. It's why we offer so many different classes. Some people need encouragement, laughter, and yes, even a dance break or two to stay motivated.
Motivation is important, he concedes, but so is structure. We've got to make this a gym people get results at.
He stops and presses his lips together as if he's said too much. Is the gym in trouble? Is that why they sent you instead of promoting one of us? He sighs and leans back in his chair.
It is. Look, I've got a background in finance as well as fitness, so corporate thought I could turn it around. However, I can't do that with you fighting me at every turn.
You can't do it by yourself anyway, I say. That's not the way a gym family works. I take a deep breath. I can't believe I'm about to offer this. No one knows this gym and the clients better than me, so let me work with you. Zane quirks an eyebrow.
You want to work with me?
Not especially, but I want the gym to succeed, and if that means working with you, then I'll deal. And I have something that might help.
What is that?
One of my roommates, Belle, is a social media influencer. She's offered to make videos for the gym, on one little condition.
What's the condition?
She wants to use the room to throw a party for our other roommate, Piper. It will be very low-key and after work, so there's no conflict. And we'll clean up afterwards. You won't even know we're there. Zane shakes his head.
I don't think so, Charlie. This is a gym, not an entertainment venue.
I understand, but Belle has so many followers. Just look. I pull up Belle's Instagram account on my cell and hand it to him. He takes it and begins flipping through her posts.
I'll admit, she's good, but none of her videos are about fitness.
I know, but I promise you that she'll get results. And even if they aren't huge, letting us use the room won't cost anything. So it's like free publicity. When he still doesn't agree, I push a little harder. What do you have to lose? He clicks through the phone a few more times.
Okay, fine, but just this once.
You won't regret it, I say as I take my phone back, hoping it's true. Belle's ideas are sometimes crazy, but it would be hard to mess this one up, wouldn't it? Chapter 8. Charlie. Belle, we don't need that much stuff, I say, glancing around the room anxiously. It's already way more than I told Zane it would be, and there appears to be no stopping Belle. Don't worry about it, she says breezily, flapping her hand. It's not that much, and we'll totally clean up. He won't even know we're here. Somehow, I doubt that. Zane seems to hear everything that happens in this gym, and even though he's been holed up in his office for hours doing who knows what, he's bound to hear the commotion sooner or later. Can we just tone it down a little? I plead. Belle sighs and rolls her eyes. Fine, we won't decorate any more. Thank you. I wish I could say I was relieved, but Belle has already decorated so much that you can barely tell this room is normally for fitness. There are streamers and balloons across the ceiling and down the walls, and she's brought in tables for food and drinks. Something I didn't clear with Zane, so I'm hoping he won't mind too much. Now I've got to get the cake and the punch. Can you watch the room until I get back? I nod, though I want to do anything but. What I want to do is tear all of this down and put it away before Zane sees it. Things have been a little better since he interrupted my class, but our relationship is still tentative. held together by a delicate thread, and I'm afraid this might send him over the edge. "Hey, I was hoping to find you." I turned to see Penelope approaching me. "Hey, Penelope, we didn't have a training session today, did we?" I thought I had cleared my schedule, but it's been a little hectic, so I suppose I might have missed something. She smiles and shakes her head. "No training session. I came to give you this." She hands me a piece of paper. "It's your first match. It took me a few days because I wanted to make sure it was a decent one. All the details are there, and he should be contacting you in a few days." "Oh, thank you. I'd forgotten all about the blind dates, and I'd rather hoped Penelope had too. But a promise is a promise." I slide the paper into my pocket to look at later. "What do you have going on in here?" she asks, glancing around the room. "It's a party for my friend Piper. She recently got a promotion, and my roommate Belle convinced Zane to let us throw it here in exchange for promotional videos for the gym." "That's a great idea. I wonder if Zane would let me put up flyers about my matchmaking business. People who work out together tend to stay together, you know?" "Unless there's a way for Zane to make money off it, I doubt he'll be game. But you're welcome to try. Just don't ask him tonight, okay? He's in his office, and I'm hoping he'll stay there because Belle is making this party a little bigger than we said we would." She smiles and pantomimes, zipping her lips. "Mum's the word. I've got to get back to work anyway, but maybe I'll ask him tomorrow when I come in. Have fun at your party, and don't forget to read that sheet." I promise her I will, and flash a wave as she heads out of the room. Belle re-enters moments later carrying a large cake and a stack of plates. "Belle, really? I didn't even get food approved. Couldn't you have gone for something smaller, like cookies?" "Cookies for a promotion?" She shakes her head. "No way. Promotions deserve cake. Now, can you get this organized while I get the punch and the cups?" With a sigh, I agree and begin setting up the cake table, while Belle returns to her car for more stuff. I'm just going to have to hope that Zane doesn't come in here, because if he does, he's going to kill me. Half an hour later, the room is set up and the guests have all arrived. Everything seems to be going smoothly, though I'm watching the guests like a hawk so that I can clean up any food or drink that gets spilled.
"What is the meaning of this?"
I cringe at the anger in Zane's voice and hurry over to see if I can diffuse the situation before it gets worse. "Hey, Zane, you agreed to let us host a small party in here, remember?" I try to keep my voice quiet in hopes that he'll do the same.
"Yes, small, like 5 to 10 people, not nearing 50, and I never agreed to food."
Though quieter, his voice is still loud enough to draw stares. "Don't worry, we'll clean up any messes," Belle says.
"You bet you will. You have 1 hour, and then I expect the guests to vacate and the cleaning to begin."
He turns and marches out the door. I'm thoroughly embarrassed as I return to the table where Piper and Patrick are. I'm so sorry about that. I should never have let Belle talk me into this. "No need to apologize," Piper says. "He's clearly the one with an issue, not you." "Thanks. I hope you still have fun, even though it's been cut short." "We will. Now try to relax and have a little fun yourself." "I'll have fun when this is over and we've cleaned up," I mumble. But I grab a cup of punch and try to enjoy the time that we have left. After all, it can't get any worse, right? Chapter 9. Zane. Now. I stare at the numbers on the screen and tap my fingers on the desk. I should be concentrating on how to save this gym, but all I can think about is the way I yelled at Charlie in front of her friends.
Yes, they hadn't asked about food, but it looked like they were being careful. So why did I have to make a big deal about it? It has to be the pressure. I don't know how long Carl is going to give me to turn this place around, and so far I don't have any concrete ideas. Belle's social media profile did look promising, but she's not a fitness influencer, so I don't know how much her videos will really draw people in. With a sigh, I push back from my desk. Maybe Charlie is still here, and I can apologize to her. It might be the only way I can get my mind back on work. I grimace as I stand and reach down to rub my knee. It doesn't always hurt, but any time I sit for long periods of time, it gets stiff, and then it's always a little sore until I can work it out. The gym is quiet when I step outside my office. We close at 10, and it's just past that. So nearly everyone has gone home. I make my way to the class area, and sure enough, Charlie is in there sweeping the floor. "Don't worry, there won't be a crumb anywhere," she says when she sees me, bitterness filling her tone. "I didn't come for that. I actually came to apologize to you." She pauses her sweeping and leans against the broom, her eyebrow arched in surprise. "You came to apologize." "I did. Look, I shouldn't have yelled at you the way I did, especially not in front of your friends. I'm stressed about the financial situation of the gym, but I shouldn't have taken it out on you." "No, you shouldn't have." She returns her attention to the broom and sweeps up the last square. I stand there awkwardly for a minute, wondering if the conversation is over. But then Charlie speaks again. "You know, my roommates are a very diverse group of girls. I know Belle is going to do videos for us, but I think Katie and Piper could help as well." "Really? And how is that?" I doubt her friends can help, but I owe it to her to at least listen. She shrugs. "Katie develops apps. She and her boyfriend Derek developed one for the city a few months ago. I don't know if an app would help the gym financially, but it might. And Piper, she and her boyfriend Patrick are programmers. So if you need a new website, they might be able to help." Now I feel like an even bigger fool. "You think your friends might help?" She shrugs again. "After tonight, I'm not sure. But they're good people. I can ask them." "I deserve that. Look, I can't take back my behavior tonight, but maybe I can make it up to you. How about dinner tomorrow? My roommate is a fantastic chef, and if I explain the situation, I know he'll make something mouth-watering for you." "Dinner sounds nice, but I can't tomorrow," she says, as a red tint climbs up her cheeks. "No? You have a hot date or something?" Though I mean it as a joke, the sliding of her eyes to the sides tells me I'm right. "Oh, you do have a hot date." Why does the idea of Charlie on a date cause my stomach to bunch? "It's not like that," she says. "One of my clients, Penelope, wants to start a matchmaking business, and I agreed to be her first client." "Willingly?" I ask, unable to imagine the scenario in my head. "Well, sort of," she says. "There's a killer workout I want her to do because she's getting married in a few months, and she said she would do it if I let her set me up on a few dates." Though I try to stop it, a laugh escapes my lips. "I'm sorry," I say, trying to compose myself. "I've heard of people going on blind dates for all sorts of reasons, but that's a new one." She folds her arms across her chest and glares at me. I'm invested in my clients. What can I say? Maybe it's something you could try. I hold my hands up in defense. "You're right. Okay, how about I just bring you one of his dinners another night?" "Fine. I'll take you up on that, and I'll talk to my roommates about helping you." "Thank you." I take a look around the room. "You really did a great job cleaning this place up. I would never have even known a party happened here."
"I know," she says with a pointed smile. "See you tomorrow, Zane." And then she walks out of the room. Okay, I deserved that. I haven't started things off on the best foot here, and it's clear that I need to change that. Chapter 10. Charlie. I can't believe I agreed to this. When I read over the paper Penelope gave me, I thought this guy sounded okay. A little more into financial stuff than I am, but still okay. I mean, the paper said he liked to work out and that he was a health nut, which I thought might be right up my alley. Those things might all be true, but all he can seem to talk about is cryptocurrency. So while he's certainly handsome, that's about all he's got going for him.
"So then I invested in this new crypto, and I know it's going to be huge,"
he says, gesturing with his chopsticks. We haven't even ordered yet, but he slid the chopsticks out of the container as soon as we sat down and has been using them like a pointer as he tells me all about his financial portfolio. Fascinating, I murmur as my eyes scan the menu. Sushi is healthy, but I'm not a big fan. However, I will say the atmosphere of the restaurant is nice. The paper lanterns strung across the ceiling cast a warm glow on the tables and send shadows dancing around the room.
"What are you going to get?"
Chad asks, mercifully pausing his crypto diatribe. I take a deep breath and look from the spicy California roll to the safe, reliable avocado roll. As someone obsessed with fitness and health, I should like seafood, but I've just never been a big fan. The California roll is made with imitation crab, but I don't know if I like that either. I do, however, like spicy foods, but is that enough? I'm not sure. I think I'll go with the avocado roll. I fold my menu and place it on the table. Chad looks at me as if I've just said I wanted to order pasta or chicken strips.
"Wow, bold choice," he says sarcastically. "I thought you were a girl who takes risks."
His tone makes me tense and I fire back defensively. I do take risks, but I'm not a big fan of seafood.
"You should have said something," he says with a roll of his eyes. "We could have gone somewhere else."
I put on my best fake smile and inject as much sweetness into my tone as I can. You could have asked. It's clear from his expression that he's deciding if he even wants to continue this date, and I'm about to offer to call it off when his expression softens and he sighs.
"You're right. I should have asked. I've been working on my empathy and caring what other people think with my therapist, but I'm a work in progress."
Oh, that's nice. Don't get me wrong, therapy is a great thing. I mean, my roommate Hannah is studying to be one, for goodness sake, and I see how she helps people, so I have nothing against it. Plus, if it's helping him become a less egotistical person, then I'm definitely all for it. But I don't want to be in the middle of someone's evolution. Thankfully, the waiter saves me from having to answer by arriving to take our orders. Chad orders some huge sample platter. I wonder if he knows how many calories he's eating. And I place my order for the boring but edible avocado rolls. Chad manages to flinch only slightly at my lack of raw food order.
"So the paper said you work out a lot,"
Chad says when the waiter leaves. I guess this is his idea of showing interest in the other person, limited though it is. Yeah, you could say that. I'm a personal trainer, so it's kind of in my job description. At this, he perks up a little.
"Oh, yeah? I've got to tell you about this new workout regimen I've started. Oh, and I found an amazing creatine powder that you just have to try."
Chad takes off on another egotistical rant, although this one is a little easier to listen to, as I have some interest in the topic. Still, for someone trying to focus more on the other person, Chad is failing miserably. He talks until the food arrives. "Can I get a fork?" I ask the server, as the plate is placed in front of me. The food doesn't look that bad, but I've never mastered the use of chopsticks.
No way, Chad says. You have to have an authentic experience, and that means using chopsticks.
"I can't use chopsticks," I say through gritted teeth.
"You can," he says,
and then he waves the server away.
"It's not that hard."
I take a deep breath and a sip of water to douse the raging fire building inside me. Guess I'll be adding condescending to Chad's less than admirable qualities.
"So do you have any crypto coins yet? I can definitely recommend the best ones and steer you away from the fakes."
He pauses long enough to expertly pop a piece of tuna in his mouth. Oh goody, we've switched back to crypto talk. I shake my head at his question, though he wasn't really waiting for my answer anyway. Could this date get any worse? Penelope is going to be in for a killer workout after this. As Chad continues talking between bites, I pick up the chopsticks and attempt to pick up an avocado roll. The chopsticks slide apart and the roll drops back to the plate with a soft plop. My frustration builds as I try again and again, each attempt more fumbling than the last.
"It's all about trying new things while investing in the tried and true options, you know?"
Chad rambles on, gesticulating with his chopsticks.
"The future of finance is—"
Totally, I interject, wishing he would stop talking so I could concentrate. My brow furrows in concentration as I finally manage to lift a roll in my chopsticks. "You've got this, Charlie," I tell myself as I move the chopsticks slowly toward my mouth. Just keep them still and get them to your lips without incident. I lean in, trying to gracefully maneuver the avocado roll towards my mouth. But just when I think I've possibly grasped the use of these annoying devices, disaster strikes. My fingers spasm and the chopsticks slide together, sending the avocado roll flying through the air. It arcs through the air like a football thrown in slow motion and hits Chad in the face, before bouncing off and landing in his lap. My eyes widen in horror. "Oh my gosh," I gasp, dropping my chopsticks and sending them clattering to the floor. "I'm so sorry." Chad blinks, stunned into silence for the first time, and then he picks up the avocado roll from his lap and places it on the table. "I guess it's a good thing it didn't have any sauce," I say, trying to joke to diffuse the air that now hangs between us, thick and uncomfortable. He doesn't respond, just grabs his napkin and swipes at his face. Face burning in embarrassment, I reach for my water glass to cool my throat and douse the laughter that is threatening to burst out of me. I doubt he finds the situation as funny as I do. Somehow, though, instead of grabbing the glass, I manage to knock it over, sending a small tidal wave of water across the pristine white tablecloth and right into Chad's lap. Oh dear. "You know what?" I say, pushing my chair back with a screech. "I think it's best if I just go. Thank you for the date and good luck with the crypto thing." I fumble with my purse and manage to pull a 20 from my wallet, which I toss onto the table. I didn't actually eat my dinner, but I'd feel bad making him pay for it after I assaulted him with both food and drink. With that, I make my hasty, mortified retreat, nearly tripping over my own feet in my rush to escape. As I burst out of the restaurant into the cool night air, the tears that have been burning the backs of my eyes threaten to spill down my cheek. I can't believe the date went that badly. Penelope will probably be disappointed, but I did go on the date, disastrous as it was, and hopefully she'll have a better match for me next time. When I push open the door to our apartment, I'm greeted with the scent of buttery popcorn and the faint aroma of lavender from Belle's essential oil diffuser. I hate that thing and the smell of lavender, but every time I tried to hide it, she somehow found it and brought it back out. I've learned to accept the smell, but I can't say that I will miss it when she moves out. Hopefully, Jackson likes lavender. From the living room, I can hear giggles and the faint sounds of a movie. I can't quite make out the words, but depending on who picked the movie, I'd have a pretty good guess as to what it is. If it's Katie, the movie is probably When Harry Met Sally. She's a sucker for romantic comedies, but for some reason that one is her favorite. If Piper picked, it's more than likely The Princess Bride. She's read the book too, and she regales us every time with which scenes are the same and which are different. If Hannah chose the movie, it's a musical, either Hamilton or Mamma Mia, though I have no doubt that Wicked will soon be her top pick. She doesn't think we can hear her, but she hums the songs under her breath all the time. Last but not least, Belle. If she picked the movie, then they're either watching Clueless or Legally Blonde. I kick my shoes off and make my way toward the noise to see who won the bet tonight. Charlie! Belle's excited squeal rises above the movie's soundtrack as soon as she sees me, and she jumps up from the couch to hurry over to me. How was the date? Was it a night to remember? We want all the juicy details. Oh, it was a night to remember, all right, I say as I fall onto the couch. At least I doubt he'll be forgetting me anytime soon. Katie pauses the movie, which was in fact When Harry Met Sally, and turns to me. That doesn't sound promising. What happened? Well, first he took me to a sushi restaurant. But you don't like seafood, Piper says matter-of-factly. Yes, but he didn't know that because he didn't bother to ask me. He was kind of a conceited jerk. Belle scrunches her face in disgust. That stinks. Was he handsome at least? Looks aren't everything, Belle, Hannah says, shaking her head. A good relationship must be built on more than that because looks will fade. Katie waves her hands to get our attention. Okay, enough about that. Why won't he be forgetting you? Right. I sigh and pick up one of the pillows, hugging it to my chest. Well, in addition to being kind of conceited, he was also a little pushy. I ordered avocado rolls because of my aversion to seafood, and not only did he think that was a terrible choice, but he wouldn't let me use a fork. He insisted I use chopsticks. Oh no, Katie groans, clearly seeing where this is going. Oh yes, I could have made a big deal about it and made the waiter get me a fork, but I figured it would be easier to just use the chopsticks. However, it took me forever to get a roll caught with the chopsticks, and just as I was about to get it into my mouth, my hand spasmed and the avocado roll shot out of the chopsticks and landed on his face before falling into his lap. Belle's mouth falls open in shock. You attacked him with an avocado roll? Well, not on purpose, but yeah. Then to make matters worse, when I reached for my water, I knocked it over instead, and I'm pretty sure I flooded his lap with water. Hannah quirks an eyebrow. You're pretty sure? I didn't really stick around to find out. I fished a 20 from my purse, threw it on the table, and left. Hannah reaches over and pats my arm sympathetically. Oh, Charlie, that sounds absolutely mortifying. I let out a rueful chuckle. Mortifying doesn't even begin to cover it. I think I've officially reached a new level of dating disaster. I don't think it's that bad, Katie says. At least you didn't send him to the emergency room. Katie and Derek worked together before they began dating, and on one fateful lunch, Katie got him to go to a new restaurant where he tried a dish that had citrus in it. He swelled up like a balloon and she had to rush him to the ER. Belle rolls her eyes and folds her arms across her chest. I don't know. Hers is pretty bad. Suddenly her eyes light up, a mischievous glint sparkling in them. She sits up straighter, nearly bouncing with excitement. Oh my gosh, Charlie, I just had the most brilliant idea. She claps her hands together, her bubbly enthusiasm filling the room. You should use this to become a social media influencer. I blink, caught off guard. What? Belle has been trying to get me to up my social media game for months, but usually she's trying to convince me to do workout videos online or a fitness podcast. This, whatever this is, sounds worse. No, seriously, Belle continues, her words tumbling out in a rush. Dating disasters are comedy gold. Just imagine the TikToks, the Instagram reels. You could go viral. She's practically shaking now, her blonde hair bouncing against her shoulders as she gestures wildly. We could do hashtags like hashtag Charlie's Chopstick Chaos or hashtag Sushi Survivor. I can't help but laugh, shaking my head. Only Belle would think posting my mortification for all the world to see would be a good thing. I appreciate the enthusiasm, Belle, but I don't think broadcasting my romantic failures to the internet is a good idea. I might have a client who sees it, and I need them to take me seriously. But think of the followers, Belle pouts, her lower lip jutting out dramatically. Maybe you could even get brand deals. No brand I would want to work for would want that kind of spokeswoman. Brands want confident and classy, not pitiful and clumsy. You are not pitiful or clumsy, Hannah says, and I will not let you engage in such negative self-talk. However, I do think your night qualifies as an ice cream emergency. She grins out at the rest of us. What do you guys think? Though I haven't actually had dinner, I agree and follow the girls to the kitchen. Chocolate may not solve everything, but in my friend group, it solves a lot. And that's okay with me. Chapter 11. Charlie. I pull open the door to the gym and inhale deeply. Some people don't like the smell of gyms, the sweat, and the mats, but I love it. If hard work had a smell, it would definitely be this. You better hurry, Beth says as I reach the receptionist desk. Zach called a staff meeting. Didn't you get the memo? Oh, crud. I do remember the memo and being annoyed that it was taking time out of my day, but I forgot all about it after my disastrous date last night. Thank you, I say to her, and then continue toward the break room where I'm sure we're meeting. The door is closed, and I shut my eyes, hoping I haven't missed too much and that I won't make a huge scene when I enter. I push the door open, but it swings too quickly, and I find myself stumbling forward. Something solid keeps me from falling to the floor. However, when I open my eyes and see that the something solid is Zane's firm chest, red flames across my cheeks. Baker, thanks for joining us, he says, his tone unamused. I'm so sorry. I bite my lip and glance around to find an open spot I can slink to. Felicia waves me over. Why are you late? She asks in a hushed whisper when I sit beside her. Long story, but I will tell you after, I respond, wishing I could sink into the floor. The other trainers who had been watching me turn their gaze back to Zane. Okay, now that we're all here, Zane says, shooting a pointed look in my direction. Let's talk about some of the new policies and procedures. First and foremost, we will be cutting back on classes that don't have at least 5 people in attendance. I did take into account the feedback that some of you brought to me about this, so I have adjusted the policy slightly. Any class that does not meet the criteria 3 times for at least half the month
will be canceled the next month. Damon's hand shoots up beside me. Do those 3 times have to be in a row? Like, does it reset after the class has the correct number? They don't have to be in a row, but the number doesn't reset until the following month. If your class is short 3 times in a month, that shows it is not a good class for bringing money in, and we need to make changes.
Are we shifting our focus from customer satisfaction then? My tone is way snarkier than I mean it to be, but it's mostly my classes he's talking about, and I feel a little targeted.
We still need to take customer satisfaction into account, but if we don't get the financial situation fixed here, then it won't matter anyway.
Why don't we offer other incentives to get more customers in instead of taking things away from them? I push. I mean, Belle's videos helped some.
Yes, they did. We received 3 new signups from them, but that's not near enough. So if you want to talk incentives, Miss Baker, what would you suggest?
Well, darn. I don't actually have any incentives in my head right now. Maybe we could offer a juice bar as another way to bring in sales.
A juice bar, while not a bad idea, would require a tremendous amount of money that we don't have.
Right. Well, how about a competition to earn a discount on personal training sessions? His jaw tightens for a minute, and he strokes his hand across his chin.
That's not a bad idea. What sort of competition were you thinking?
I don't know. Maybe like a Biggest Loser competition? I know the show had issues, but with proper training and nutrition counseling, we could do it the right way. We could each take on a few clients and go for, 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, the trainer whose team lost the most gets to give out some discounts.
Or we could have them earn it along the way, Damon shouts out. Like, for every 5 or 10 pounds they lose, they get a discount. That way everyone who participates can win.
And we could charge a small fee for the contest, Felicia adds, just to make sure they're really invested.
Okay, these aren't bad ideas. I think we can definitely work with them,
Zane says, and I swear that this time his tone seems a little softer as he looks at me.
Any other ideas?
I don't know if it's the look that Zane gave me that's making me more confident, or if I've just lost my mind, but my hand lifts into the air. Maybe we could see about pairing up new members of the gym with some of our veterans. One thing I hear from new people is that they aren't always sure what to do. If we teamed them up with someone, they would have someone they could ask questions of if they didn't want to talk to us.
Or one of us takes on an introductory session, Damon says. We did that at my old gym and it worked great.
Zane is nodding and jotting down notes.
Okay, I like those ideas as well. What about getting people into the gym? You guys do a great job with making people feel welcome. But we need to get more people into the gym if we're going to do this right.
We could do a community day where we go outside and do training outdoors. That way people can see what we do. Some people are intimidated coming into a gym, but might join us outside. And since it's spring, the weather is nicer.
Outside isn't a bad idea, but the weather around here doesn't always cooperate. Maybe we could have a backup plan in case it starts to rain.
We continue to bounce ideas back and forth for a little longer before Zane calls the meeting and dismisses us. What was that about? Felicia asks me as we head to the locker room. What was what? I ask. That verbal sparring between you and Zane? That was nothing, I say with a shrug. That was just me defending my classes so he doesn't cancel them. No, I don't mean that, she says, shaking her head. I mean the undercurrent. Do you have the hots for Zane? What? No way. He's way too... I fumble with the words because what is Zane? He's definitely intense, but some people say I am too. and he has mellowed a little since he told me of the gym's financial problems. Still, I'm not interested in him like that. Am I? He's my boss, I say, when I can't come up with anything else. That would be completely unprofessional. Uh-huh, if you say so, she says, though her tone tells me she is clearly unconvinced. I think he might like you too, though. I open my mouth to tell her she's wrong, but she's paged over the intercom at that moment, and her eyes widen as she looks at her watch. Oh shoot, I'm late for my training session. Gotta run. As Felicia zips out of the locker room, I grab my clothes to change and then head out to my own training session. It's with Penelope, which normally I would love, but now I have to tell her that her blind date was an epic fail, and I'm not looking forward to that at all. Okay, I know what you're going to say, Penelope says when I meet her at the front desk. Chad wasn't a great fit, but I think with a few more questions from you, I'll have the perfect guy for you. How many of these dates did I promise you? I ask her. You didn't, she says with a smile. You just agreed to be my first client. Ugh, next time I am going to read the fine print, I say. Come on, it's leg day for you. Okay, so Chad was a little too into crypto. What would your perfect guy be into? I don't know. Exercise for sure. Maybe adventure. I don't mind staying home sometimes, but I like someone who likes to go on walks, or runs, or hikes. Got it, Penelope says, jotting this all down in a notebook she pulled from her bag. I will find the perfect match for you and send the details over to your email. No rush. I'm still recovering from the last date. But enough about that. Right now, it's time to burn those legs. I grab 2 20-pound dumbbells and hand them to her. Lunges across the floor. Let's go. Chapter 12. Zane.
Just the woman I was hoping to see.
Charlie spins around and shuts the fridge, a guilty look on her face. What? I wasn't. Why were you hoping to see me?
Were you foraging in the fridge? I ask, smirking slightly at her behavior.
She opens her mouth to speak and then sighs and cringes. I was. I'm sorry. I had such a bad night last night that I forgot to make myself lunch for today, and I'm starving.
Bad night, huh? Didn't you have your blind date last night?
I cross to the fridge and pull out Patrick's leftovers that I brought for lunch. Ugh, don't remind me. Charlie sinks into one of the chairs. It was awful, and I don't know how to get out of this deal with Penelope.
Maybe it won't be so bad,
I say, as I pull 2 bowls from the cupboard and spoon the leftovers into each one. This will certainly lighten my lunch, but I can't leave Charlie famished and depressed.
Maybe you'll hit it off with one of the guys. After all, she can't strike out every time.
I pop the bowls in the microwave and then turn to her with a wicked grin.
How bad was it?
It was bad. He was a jerk, and I attacked him with an avocado roll by accident.
That sounds entertaining, to say the least.
When the microwave dings, I remove the bowls and scoot one across the table to her. What's this? She asks, looking down at the bowl as if I'm trying to poison her.
It's Patrick's leftovers. You know, the ones you could have had if you'd agreed to take me up on my dinner offer, instead of suffering through a bad date and defending yourself with food.
That elicits a small smile from her. I wasn't defending myself. It was an accident.
Right. That's what they all say.
I pass her a fork and she takes a bite. Oh my gosh, this is good.
I know. You should have taken me up on my offer because it's even better when it's first made. Speaking of offers, I say, changing the subject, did you get a chance to talk to your roommates?
Her eyes widen. Oh no, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. I will tonight. Is that why you wanted to see me?
That, and because I wanted to talk to you more about this competition, get your thoughts on how we could set it up and advertise it. I think it could be a really good idea.
Really? You want my thoughts?
It was your idea, and you do know the clientele better than I do at the moment.
Well, that's true. She puts down her fork and taps her lips for a moment. So, I think it's gotta be fun, but challenging. We can't just do something like who can lift the most weights because that won't appeal to some of our clients. Same with any sort of cardio challenge. So it's gotta be something that mixes different types of fitness. Strength, agility, endurance. Kind of like a mini triathlon, but less intense.
Interesting, I say, considering her suggestion. That could work. Maybe we could have different categories, too. Like a relay-style event so people can team up.
Charlie's face lights up. That's a great idea. That would make it more social. And we could add fun stuff like a tire flip challenge or obstacle course. People love that kind of thing. Sort of like a Ninja Warrior episode or some other reality show. I pull out my phone and tap the note app to jot down the ideas.
This could actually work, though we'd probably need to set up some prizes to make it worth everyone's time.
We could do free memberships, even if it was only for a few months, and gym merchandise. But it would be even better if we could get something from outside the gym. She taps her lips again. Maybe we can see about a partnership with a local smoothie shop. I bet Belle could help with all the connections she has, she suggests, leaning forward now, clearly getting into it. I chuckle.
And this is why I wanted to talk to you. You're good at this.
She shrugs, but a small smile plays at her lips. Well, it's a nice distraction from these blind dates.
If you ever need another distraction,
I say, gesturing to her now empty bowl.
Patrick usually makes too much food, and I'm always happy to share.
Charlie laughs, the sound like wind chimes in the spring. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Zane.
No problem.
I grab her empty bowl and stack it with mine.
Now, don't forget to talk to your roommates. I need to know if I should start figuring out how much this will cost.
On it, she says, standing up and stretching. And Zane?
Yeah?
She hesitates, then smiles softly. Thanks for listening to my ideas. I nod, a faint smile tugging at my lips.
I promise to do more of it in the future.
Chapter 13. Charlie. My roommates are chattering about their days, but the only thing I can think of is how I'm going to get them to help me. They would do anything for me, I know, but their only impression of Zane is his yelling at the party and me complaining about him. I'm going to have to rely on some wordsmith magic, and that is definitely not my strong suit. Earth to Charlie, you okay in there? Huh? I glance up at the sound of my name and see all 4 of my roommates staring at me. Oh, sorry, I was just lost in thought, I guess. What were you so lost in thought about? Hannah asks. I press my lips together as I look from one girl to the other. Finally, I decide just to spit it out. You guys want me to be successful, right? I ask my roommates as we sit down for dinner. Of course we do, Charlie. What kind of question is that? Katie asks. The rest of the girls nod in agreement. Okay, good, because I need a favor from you guys. Uh-oh, that sounds a little ominous, Hannah says. What kind of favor? Well, the gym is in some financial trouble, and you guys have some skills that could help. Piper, we desperately need an updated website. Zane has said, Wait a minute, Zane? The grumpy boss? The one who ruined Popper's party? Belle asks. Yes, that's Zane, I say. Look, I know he didn't make a great first impression, but he is really stressed about the gym's future. I know that doesn't make his behavior acceptable, but he has gotten better the last few days. And regardless of him, the gym needs to do better in order for me to keep my job. So don't think of it as helping Zane, just think of it as helping me. It might be a little challenging to separate the two, Katie says, but we'll try. What are the favors? Piper, Zane said he could pay you for a new website design, though it will probably be less than your normal fee. It doesn't have to be super fancy, just something that works better than what we currently have. Piper nods. I suppose I can do that. I'll at least look at it and see how difficult it would be. Thank you. I knew Piper would be the easiest to convince. She doesn't have a mean bone in her body, and she loves a challenge. The other two will be a little harder. Katie, could you design us an app for the gym? Something we could put our schedule and workout videos on? There will be a little money available, but not a lot. Katie presses her lips together as she thinks about it. If I can keep it rather simple, I might be able to create one quickly. Thank you. Belle, I think I have the most to ask of you. We're planning to host a competition in the gym. Would you be able to advertise the competition for us and reach out to some of your contacts to see if anyone would donate prizes? Belle takes a deep breath and sighs. Not for him, but I'll do it for you. Thank you, Belle. You don't need any favor from me? Hannah asks, though I can't tell if she's upset or relieved. I wasn't sure how you could help exactly, but if you have ideas, I'm all ears. Also, I would love to have you help advertise. Hannah taps her lips as she thinks. Well, I do have some professional contacts that I could reach out to. Really? That would be amazing, Hannah, I say, my heart filling with gratitude. If you could even just connect us with a couple of people who might be willing to sponsor the competition or donate prizes, it would make a huge difference. Hannah pulls back her shoulders and smiles. All right, I'll see what I can do, but I'm not wearing any branded merchandise. I do have a reputation to uphold. I laugh, the tension in my chest easing slightly. Deal, you're officially off the hook for marketing attire. Katie drums her fingers on the table, her thoughtful expression returning. You know, if we're serious about this app, it might help to include some interactive features, like a leaderboard for the competition. People love seeing their rankings. It's a good motivator. That's a great idea. I can't believe I didn't think of that, but once more I'm reminded of how lucky I am to have such great friends. Do you think you can pull it off with the budget we have? She shrugs, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. I'll have to get creative, but it's doable. I'll just need you to nail down the competition structure soon so I know what kind of data to include. Yeah, Zane and I are working on that, so I should be able to get that to you tomorrow, I reply, already mentally adding it to my to-do list. Hannah clears her throat, a playful glint in her eye. Not to change the subject here, but this all sounds like a lot of work, especially for a guy you don't like. Or has that changed? Not in the way you're insinuating, no, but I might have misjudged him. He's a decent guy, and he's just trying to do the best he can for the gym. Although, as I say the words, I wonder, am I developing feelings for Zane? Uh-huh, if you say so, Hannah teases. She doesn't say anything else, but I can read what she's thinking in her eyes. Anyway, thank you. You guys are the best roommates ever. Well, of course we are, Belle says, shaking her head as if this is the silliest thing she's ever heard. But remember that we're doing this for you, not Mr. Grumpy Gym Boss. I know, I say, chuckling at her serious expression. But seriously, I couldn't do this without you. Hannah lifts her glass, an impish grin on her face. Here's to Operation Save the Gym and keeping Charlie employed. We all laugh and clink our glasses together. Now I just have to figure out what this competition will look like. Chapter 14. Zane. Charlie is normally a ball of energy, but when she bursts into my office the next day with a wide grin on her face, it's almost infectious. I got it. I figured out the competition, she says, plopping down in the chair across from my desk and slapping down a piece of paper with scribbles all over it. First, we have multiple options. People can sign up for single events that they want to do, or they can sign up for the grand prize. Each event will have a small winner. I figure these can be discount coupons or maybe a shirt, or donated prizes if we get them. I've got Belle working on those. She barely pauses long enough to take a breath, and I struggle to keep the grin off my lips. I've never seen Charlie so worked up. For the grand prize, I'm hoping we can do something bigger. I'm still working on donations, but maybe a gym membership for 6 months or something would be enough. I tried to think of what competitions our members and outside community members might partake in. So first we have a fitness skill competition. We can have people do a baseline challenge to figure out their best mile, planks, pull-ups, push-ups, wall sits, burpees, and crunches. Of course, we don't tell them it's a baseline or people will cheat. Then we have them do it again at the end, and the person who has improved the most overall wins.
That's actually a great idea, I say. Plus, it will allow everyone to see their gains, even if they aren't the big winner.
Exactly, she says. But we can also have a wellness challenge where people keep track of their steps and their sleep and their hydration, though we'd have to take them at their word on that.
I think that would be fine.
Right. So then I was thinking we could also add a creativity piece. Contestants can submit their best ideas for stress reduction, their best healthy recipe, and their best smoothie recipe. We could have the winning smoothie recipe be the first one at our smoothie bar if we ever get one.
Wow, how much time did you spend coming up with all of this?
I ask. Way too long, she says, holding up a large cup of coffee. I'm not sure I actually slept, but I'm not even done yet. I even thought of some fun events for some of our new people, or for those who just don't want to do the other stuff. We could have a hula hoop contest, a jump rope challenge, a fitness scavenger hunt, and a workout class bingo. They would have to go to different workout classes, and then they would earn a signature on their card at the end of the class. The first one to bingo wins, but this would also help advertise our classes to get our numbers up. I lean back in my chair and shake my head. I may have the background in finance, but Charlie clearly has the creativity to make this gym successful. And for the first time, I find myself wondering if corporate made a mistake.
Charlie, this is amazing.
She smiles at me. I know, right? And the best part is that I've got Belle working on publicity for it and securing prizes for us. And Katie is even trying to work this into the app.
She is? So they agreed then? Is Piper going to do the website as well?
Her smile falters just a bit. They did agree, but they weren't thrilled about helping you. I don't know how, but you need to find a way to apologize to them.
You're right, I do, and I promise I will. For now, though, let's start advertising around the gym and decide how much the entry fees will be for each event.
Since you know more about our financial situation, why don't you work with the entry fees and I'll work on creating flyers?
Oh, okay.
Disappointment floods my veins.
I kind of thought we'd just work together on it, but I suppose your way does make more sense. Want to meet up later this evening to compare notes?"
Charlie tilts her head and considers me for a moment. Only if more of that delicious food will be supplied. My lips split into a wide grin.
"I think that can be arranged," I say, hoping Patrick will be on board. "Shall we say 7 p.m.?
That sounds perfect. As soon as Charlie leaves my office, I dial Patrick.
"Hey, I have a huge favor to ask,"
I say, as soon as he picks up.
"Why do I have the feeling I'm not going to like this favor?" Patrick asks with a laugh. "It's not that bad. I'm going to be working late with Charlie tonight. Could you bring some food in? She was a big fan of the last leftovers I brought in." "Charlie, huh? Isn't this the girl you said was driving you crazy? Now you have a date?"
I'm glad Patrick can't see my face because I can feel the heat climbing my neck.
"It's not like that. We're working on a fundraiser for the gym." "Right. That's what they all say. Are you going to bring food or not?" I ask. "I suppose I could do that. But what am I going to get in return?"
I can tell by his tone that Patrick is teasing me, but I do feel like I owe him something.
"How about I do the dishes for the next week?"
I don't love doing dishes, but I'd rather wash than cook, and Patrick hates doing dishes.
"Make it 2 and you've got a deal," he says. "Fine, 2 weeks. Can you bring the food by 7? Yeah, I'll have it there by then."
I end the call with Patrick and then pull up the finance reports. They're daunting, but I've got to figure out how much we need so I know how much to charge. Chapter 15. Charlie. Charlie, are you listening? Huh? I shake my head to return my focus to Penelope, who has clearly been asking me a question. Thankfully, our workout is over and we've just been chatting. Still, I should be focused on my client, but it seems like I can't keep my mind from thinking about tonight. I was asking you if you'd be up for a date outside. I have a guy in mind who is very adventurous, but he wants an outdoor date. I suppose I could, though the weather isn't always the greatest this time of year. I think it will be fine, and I have a feeling you'll really like this guy, she says, ignoring my hesitation. Okay, I'll try again, but I think we should decide on a limit, I say. I mean, if you haven't found the match in 3 to 5 guys, he's probably not in your system. Wouldn't you agree? Penelope opens her mouth to argue, but then nods. You're right. If I can't find your perfect guy in 5 dates, then we'll call it quits. 4 more bad dates? The thought makes me shudder, but I put on a smile and agree. Penelope smiles as if she's just been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize or something. Great. I'll message the guy and set it up for this weekend. You won't regret it, I promise. I seriously doubt that, but I manage to bite back the sigh before it escapes my lips, nodding instead. It's not that I don't appreciate her efforts. She's trying, and I know she means well. But the first date was a disaster, and my optimism about these dates is dwindling faster than a tub of ice cream after a breakup. Okay, let me know the details. As she walks away, I glance at the clock. Only one more client until Zane and I are planning to meet up. I don't know if it's the novelty of the competition, the shared goal of saving the gym, or something else entirely, but he's been different, less grumpy, almost fun. I head to the front desk to await Kenneth. He shows up 1 minute before his time, a rather annoying habit that I can't seem to get him to break. Hey, Kenneth, you ready to work those arms today? I don't know, Kenneth says, pushing back his mop of brown hair.
My shoulder was hurting a little after the last session, and when I looked up my symptoms, the internet said I might want to lay off shoulder work and let my arms rest.
If I could ban Kenneth from the internet, I would. This is a bad habit of his. But I'm not in the mood to argue with him today. Good thing we're working biceps and triceps today, then. You'll be able to let your shoulders rest, no problem. His face falls. Clearly, he did not expect this answer.
Oh, are you sure?
Absolutely, but I'll tell you what. I make an exaggerated show of looking at my watch. I've got some business I need to attend to, so if you want to cancel our session today, we can, but you'll still have to pay for it because it's within 24 hours.
Oh, I don't think I can do that,
he says, glancing back toward the door.
I don't think Lydia would approve.
I nod. You might be right. So how about we just do our session? With a sigh, Kenneth nods and follows me to the machines. It's a grueling half hour with him questioning my instructions and complaining about pains that I'm almost positive don't exist. But finally we make it through. I bid him farewell and then head to Zane's office. He's at his desk working, the glow from the computer monitor enhancing his features. Hey, I say as I approach. He glances up, his expression softening slightly when he sees me.
Hey, how'd it go with your clients today?
I sigh and collapse into the chair across from his desk. Kenneth was a handful tonight, but we made it through. Penelope was a breeze as always, but she's lining up another date for me. Outdoor adventure this time.
Let me guess, he says, leaning back in his chair. Hiking? Paddleboarding? Skydiving?
Who knows? I mutter, rolling my eyes. She didn't specify, but if it involves a helmet or a parachute, I might fake food poisoning. Zane chuckles, a low, rumbling sound that sends a tingle down my spine. I've never heard Zane chuckle, and it is definitely not like I expected.
Well, if it's anything like the last date you told me about, I'd bring a wetsuit, a first aid kit, and a can of bear spray.
I groan, dropping my head onto my arms. Don't remind me. At least that guy never called back. I'm not sure I could have shown my face again.
Maybe this one will go better,
Zane says. I lift my head to glare at him, but he looks so earnest that I can't stay annoyed at him. I doubt it, but I did tell her that if she couldn't find the right guy in 5 dates, that it was time to give up the chase, and she agreed.
So only 4 more torturous dates, he says with a chuckle.
Ha ha, thanks for the pep talk, which you stink at, by the way. Now, are you ready to get started on the competition plan?
I'll have you know that I'm actually an expert at the pep talk,
he says, a wistful expression coming over his face.
At least I used to be. Maybe I am a little rusty. Anyway, let's get to work. The sooner we get this thing organized, the better.
Didn't you promise me food? I ask as I glance around the office. Zane chuckles.
It's coming. Don't worry. Now, let me share where we are financially.
As Zane goes over the finance reports, I can't help but feel a flicker of excitement. Maybe Penelope's dates will continue to be disasters, but at least here, with Zane, I feel like I'm making progress. Chapter 16. Charlie. The chilly air bites through my jacket as I make my way to the kayak launch. I'm not exactly sure why this guy chose kayaking, as it's usually more of a summer activity. But at least it's not a sushi restaurant. It is something adventurous, and how bad could it really be? An hour out on the pristine Sound? It actually sounds like a breath of fresh air. But just in case, I've decided to play a little game with myself as the date progresses. I'll give Garrett mental points for things he does well, and I'll subtract them for anything that annoys me. If he ends up with a positive score, and the date isn't a disaster, then I'll think about a second date. As I near the rental hut, I see a man with long dark hair and a full beard, leaning against the side. He's handsome, so I'll give him 2 points for that, but a full beard isn't really my thing, so I remove one of those points.
"You must be Charlie," he says when I reach him.
"I am, and you must be Garrett," I say, sticking my hand out to shake his.
"In the flesh."
He shakes my hand firmly, so I add a point. But then he smiles and flicks his hair over his shoulder as if he's modeling for a camera or something. I subtract 2 points. The last thing I need is to date someone who's a diva. I get enough of that with Belle. Although he is a semi-professional model, so perhaps it's just a hazard of the job. I add 1 point back.
"Are you ready to get out there on the water?"
I am, although I hope we don't fall in. It's a little chillier out there than when I normally go kayaking.
"Yeah, but that's the fun of it. There is no one else out on the open water, so we have the whole place to ourselves. Besides, I am a master kayaker. I don't fall in the water."
Okay, he's a little full of himself, but he does appear to be in good shape, and he might kayak a lot. So I decide the points cancel each other out, and I let it go. After all, I'd rather be out here with someone who knows what they're doing than with a clumsy beginner. What are we waiting for then? He flashes me another smile. He really does have a nice one, and then hands me a life jacket.
"This should fit you, but let me know if you need me to adjust the straps."
He wiggles his bushy eyebrows suggestively, and I subtract another point. So far, he's striking out, or maybe getting walks, but he's definitely not hitting anything out of the park. I think I can handle it, I say, but the jacket fits fine, and I don't need to do any adjustments. He dons his own life jacket, grabs 2 oars, and then leads the way to the launch where a kayak bobs in the water.
"Ladies first,"
he says, gesturing to the back of the kayak and handing me one of the oars. I can't decide whether this is a point in his favor for being chivalrous or a point deducted for putting me in the back. Balancing the oar against the side, I climb in the back and get situated, careful to keep my movements slow so as not to tip the kayak. When I'm as comfortable as I can be, I give him a nod and he climbs in the front. His weight sends the kayak tilting, but thankfully he shifts before the force carries it over and we end up in the water.
"Off we go,"
he hollers, and pushes us away from the dock. It takes us a few minutes, but finally we get our paddles in sync and begin gliding through the water. Though cold, it really is beautiful, and I find myself relaxing and enjoying the date, even though we aren't talking much.
"Look, a family of ducks,"
he says, pointing off to the left.
"Let's see how close we can get to them."
I don't think that's a good idea, I say. The ducks will probably fly away before we reach them, but if they don't, then they could end up attacking us.
"It's fine. I do it all the time."
He sticks his oar in the water and begins taking giant strokes. I sigh and paddle along, more out of obligation than enthusiasm. The ducks, of course, notice us almost immediately and start moving away. Garrett doesn't seem to get the hint, though, and doubles down, his strokes splashing water onto both of us. Now I'm cold and wet. I subtract another point. Garrett, I don't think—
"Shh, just trust me,"
he interrupts, grinning over his shoulder like he's on a safari.
"We'll get close enough for a picture. It'll be great."
I tighten my grip on my oar. Trust him? I don't even know him. But I do know that chasing wildlife never goes well. Plus, I don't have a camera. I don't even have my phone. I left it in the car just in case we got wet. I'm pretty sure the ducks don't want to be Instagram stars, I mutter under my breath. But he doesn't hear me, or if he does, he chooses to ignore me. We get a little closer, and Garrett stops paddling. He reaches into his pocket for what I assume is his camera for the picture. But before he can take it, the ducks take off in a flurry of wings and water, startling Garrett so much that he jerks the kayak to one side. I try to counteract his movement, but Newton's law of motion takes over and the kayak capsizes, sending us both tumbling into the freezing water. I come up sputtering, my hair plastered to my face, my clothing soaked through. The cold is eating through my layers like a knife through butter, and I can feel my teeth begin to chatter. Garrett surfaces a moment later, shaking his head like a wet dog and sending sprays of water all around him.
"Whoa, this water is colder than I expected," he exclaims, laughing.
I glare at him, shivering. You don't say. I thought you said you were a master kayaker who never ended up in the water. He rubs the back of his neck sheepishly.
Okay, maybe I got a little carried away.
That's an understatement, I snap, subtracting 5 points. Now what? Garrett flips the kayak upright, still chuckling.
We just get back in. No big deal.
No big deal, I repeat, incredulous. We're soaked. It's freezing.
Adventure, right?
He says with a grin, his teeth chattering slightly. It's definitely not my idea of adventure, but neither is swimming or freezing in the cold sound. So I swim over to the kayak and help Garrett right it. I've never tipped a kayak, so how do we do this?
I'm not sure. Why don't you try and hold it steady, and I'll climb in and then help you in.
Though I'm not sure I entirely trust this plan, I hold the kayak steady and he tries to heft himself into it. But either his upper body strength is not what he thought it was, or the cold water is zapping his energy and he can't lift himself over. I'm strong, but I don't think I'm strong enough to drag him up into a kayak that I'll also have to balance. I'm about to fire off a sarcastic remark when I notice his lips turning an alarming shade of blue. Great. My date might be an idiot, but hypothermia isn't exactly how I want this date to end. I let out a long breath and decide to take charge while I'm still thinking clearly. Okay, that's not going to work. Look, we're pretty close to the shore there, which means it will probably be more shallow. Let's swim over there and then we can get back in easier. He nods and we each take a strap of the kayak and swim toward the shore. It's slow, as we're only able to use one hand each, but I'm hoping the energy we're using will also keep us warm. Finally, I feel ground beneath my feet. We push the kayak a little further until it's at our knee level, and then I hold it while he climbs in the front. He's shaking so badly that it takes longer than it should, but finally he's in. Put your oar against the ground to help steady the kayak for me, I say, and Garrett puts his oar in the water. I press mine into the ground as well and press it against the kayak to give me leverage. My muscles are freezing, and getting them to work is like trying to walk through sludge. But I finally make it in the back of the kayak. It's not pretty, and about as graceful as a drenched cat escaping a bathtub, but thankfully no one is around to see it. Okay, let's get back to shore while we can still paddle, I say, as my teeth begin to chatter. My fingers are numb, but I make myself focus on my hands. Hold the oar. Stroke. Stroke. I glance up at Garrett. He's still paddling, but his strokes are slow. It feels like it takes forever, But finally, we reach the launch. As we navigate in, Garrett turns to me and grins.
You gotta admit, this'll be a date to remember.
Oh, don't worry, I reply, shivering. It's burned into my memory forever. I place my oar across the launch to steady the kayak, but even with that help, Garrett can barely make it out. He flops onto the launch like a fish out of water, and I follow suit, colder, wetter, and angrier than I've ever been on a date.
Thanks for being a good sport,
he says, as we struggle to pull the kayak onto the dock. I stare at him, my teeth chattering too much to form a response. This is the kind of story you tell your friends when they ask why you're single.
Drinks to warm up,
he suggests. No thanks, I say finally, wrapping my arms around myself for warmth. I think I've had enough adventure for one day. Let's just get the kayak back to the rental shack while we still can. He shrugs, still smiling.
Suit yourself. I'll call you, though.
I don't bother correcting him as we lug the kayak toward the shack. Thankfully, it's not too far, and the rental guy takes pity on us when he sees us approaching dripping wet. He grabs the kayak.
You guys took a spill, huh? Just spicing up the adventure,
Garrett says. I shake my head and head to my car where I turn the heat on full blast until I stop shivering. I may have to find an even tougher workout to put Penelope through after this. Chapter 17. Zane.
So how was the date?
I ask Charlie when she enters my office Monday. I've set up the small table in the room for us to work at so that it's easier to collaborate, and I gesture for her to take the chair next to me. She sighs as she sits down. It was about as I expected. I mean, he was a nice enough guy, but maybe I'm just destined to have terrible dates. She offers me a small smile, but I can see the sadness in her eyes. It bothers me, probably more than it should.
Oh, come on. It couldn't have been that bad.
She shakes her head. He wanted to go kayaking. It started out fine, but we both ended up in the water and almost dying of hypothermia.
Okay, that does sound bad, but maybe he just overshot the goalpost trying to impress you?
I want to take her hand to reassure her, but I stop myself. I also don't add that I would definitely try to impress her. He certainly didn't need to. I'm pretty simple. I mean, I like adventurous dates, but sometimes watching a movie while curled up on the couch is just as good, you know? She locks eyes with me and the energy between us shifts. I've always thought those romantic movies where the characters are about to kiss and the world seems to stop around them were silly, but I understand it right now. There's a deafening silence in my ears and a strong urge to pull Charlie to me. Her lips part ever so slightly, and my gaze drops to them, wondering how soft they would feel against my own. When I meet Charlie's gaze again, it's clear she's having similar thoughts. Her eyes are wide and slightly terrified, and I don't know what to do. Do I lean in? If I'm reading this wrong, that move would be very bad, especially considering I'm her boss. But if I'm reading it right and don't make a move, then I might miss the moment, or worse yet, she might feel insulted. Before I can decide, Charlie blinks, shakes her head, and then changes the subject. Okay, Belle managed to secure some great prizes for the competition. She's really good at this whole networking thing. Charlie slides a piece of paper to me, but I notice she keeps her hand far away to keep from touching mine. Here's the list. Gift cards, a fitness tracker, even a spa day package. Not bad, huh? I look at the list, and I have to admit I'm impressed.
Not bad at all. I'll admit, I wasn't sure Belle would pull through, but this is solid.
Belle is good at what she does. I don't understand all of it, but she's good. And when it comes to securing deals, she is relentless.
I see that. Okay, what else do you have?
Charlie grins and pulls out her laptop. Piper has a basic website designed. Take a look and tell me what you think. She slides the laptop closer to me so that I can see the screen. It is a basic website, but it's so much nicer than what we have currently, and I can tell that it's upgradable.
This is good, I tell Charlie. Your friends really are talented.
She shrugs. I know. Good thing they're also forgiving. Heat burns my ears and I rub the back of my neck.
I'm still thinking of a way to make it up to them, but I will, I promise.
I know you will. Okay, last, Katie has the app running. She pulls out her phone and taps the screen. Look. This time she leans closer to me and I can smell the scent of berries and vanilla. Is that her hair? How does she smell so good after instructing all day? Katie's even got the competition sign-up working and we've had 3 responses so far. I force myself to focus on the phone and not how good Charlie smells, and I tap through the app, looking at our class schedules, our hours, and the sign-up for the competition.
This is amazing. You're really throwing yourself into this. You've been on top of every detail. It's impressive.
She shrugs, though her smile falters for a moment. The gym is important to me. Plus, I like a good challenge.
Well, the gym is lucky to have you, I say, setting the phone back on the table. I don't think we could have gotten this far without you, and your roommates, of course.
Charlie ducks her head as a faint blush colors her cheeks. It's not just me. Everyone's pitching in, and you've been working just as hard, so don't sell yourself short.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, you organized the class schedules so that it makes more sense. And I have to admit that the promotions you've been running on the protein powders seem to be working. Her words catch me off guard. Hearing her acknowledge my efforts feels strangely good, and that feeling of wanting to kiss her rears its ugly head again.
Thanks, I say,
my voice quieter than I intended. For a moment, the room is silent except for the hum of the air conditioner. Charlie picks up her phone and fidgets with the screen, and I realize her nervous energy is contagious. I don't know if it's how close we're sitting, her scent still lingering in the air, or the memory of that almost moment earlier, but the urge to say something, anything, bubbles up in my chest.
You know, I start, trying to keep my tone casual, if you ever want to break from these adventurous dates of yours, we could do something low-key, like that movie on the couch idea you mentioned.
Charlie looks up, her eyes widening slightly in surprise. Are you asking me out, Zane? My brain stalls, my mouth freezing in a slightly parted shape. Was I asking her out? It certainly sounds like I was when I replay the words in my head, but I don't know what to do with her reaction. Is her shock simply surprise after the rocky start of our relationship? Or is she appalled at the suggestion? I suppose I can try to play it off.
No, I mean, not exactly. Just saying sometimes it's nice to keep things simple.
She stares at me so intently that I swear she's seen memories I've long forgotten. Should I apologize? Take the offer back? I'll keep that in mind, she says, and then she grabs a notebook and pen from her bag and shifts gears once again. Okay, so next steps, we need to finalize the event schedule and figure out how we're going to manage registrations that come in through the gym. I recommend Beth be in charge. She's the best front desk employee, and she's organized enough to keep track of everything. Also, do you think we should bundle some of the prizes to make them more appealing? Her shift in focus is so fast that it takes me a moment to catch up.
Yeah, bundling could work. We can also highlight the grand prize more. It'll draw in people who might otherwise hesitate.
Good idea. She scribbles a note, her focus lasered in on the planning. Let's aim to have everything finalized by Thursday so we can start promoting hard. Sound good?
Sounds good.
I lean back and watch her as she scribbles out more notes and ideas for the organization of the event. Charlie is a force to be reckoned with, but she's also the most intriguing woman I've ever met. And that scares me, because I don't know what to do about it. Chapter 18. Charlie. I cannot believe that everything has come together so quickly and easily. It kind of feels like fate, or like the setup before a really big fall. No, I can't think like that. It's going to be great. Today we're starting off with our baseline rounds, though the competitors don't know this one won't count. I'm sure it wouldn't be many, but I know of a few of my clients who would deliberately do less if they knew, just so their improvement would be better. We have a giant whiteboard with all the events and magnetized tiles with all the competitors' names, so that it's easy to move them around on the scoreboard. Belle has promised to live stream the first few events and do updates for us throughout. Most of the competitors are stretching against the walls, but Penelope takes a moment to approach me. Charlie, this looks amazing. I glance up from the clipboard in my hands and give her a smile. Thank you. I hope it's as fun as I thought it would be. Oh, I'm sure it will be. Look, I know you're busy getting this started, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm working on date number 3. Date number 3, already. I try to keep the smile on my face, but it's a challenge. The thought of another bad date makes me a little queasy. Plus, there's the issue with Zane. I don't know what was happening between us the other day, but it sure felt like something. You're efficient, I'll give you that. Efficient and thorough, she replies with a wink, completely oblivious to my internal turmoil. This one's going to knock your socks off. Outdoorsy, but not reckless. Adventurous, but grounded. Basically everything you're looking for. Right, I say, adjusting the pen in my hand and avoiding her gaze. We'll see. Penelope leans closer, dropping her voice conspiratorially. Oh, you'll see all right. Just wait. She wiggles her eyebrows and then flashes a dazzling smile and walks off, leaving me with a sinking feeling. Date 3? I barely survived the last one. I shake my head and refocus on the competition. You ready? Zane's voice cuts through the hum of activity, and I turn to see him standing beside me, arms crossed but a hint of a smile on his face. As ready as I'll ever be, I say. It's kind of surreal to see it all coming together. He nods, his gaze sweeping the room. You did good, Charlie. Better than good. This place feels alive. The unexpected praise catches me off guard, and I feel a warmth rise in my chest. Thanks, but it wasn't just me. You've been working just as hard. Maybe, he says, shrugging. But you did most of the legwork. This competition was your idea, your baby. There's something in his tone that bothers me, but before I can place what it is, Belle gives me the thumbs up from across the gym to let me know she's ready, and I know it's go time. All right, everyone, I call out, my voice cutting through the noise. The competitors gather near the whiteboard, expressions bright with anticipation. Welcome to the first day of our competition. This is about fun and fitness, so go out there and do your best. Remember, though, that you need to have an employee watching you before you start your reps for each exercise so they can record your number. At the end, we'll adjust the leaderboard to see who is in the lead. Cheers erupt from the crowd, and I glance at Zane, who gives me a subtle nod of encouragement. As the contestants scatter, I survey the scene. The gym is busier than I've ever seen it before, and even those not competing have picked a friend to cheer on. Some are even joining in to challenge their friend to push harder. I don't know if we've raised enough money to help the gym, but I hope so. I can't imagine losing the place after this showing of camaraderie.
Charlie, this is really something.
I turn to see Carl from corporate standing a few feet away watching the competition. Thank you, sir. I want to tell him that I could have done this sooner if he'd simply told me the gym was in trouble, but I'm not sure that I could have. Coming up with creative workouts was fun, but poring over numbers sounds exhausting, and I don't think I would have been good at it at all.
Zane told me this was your brainchild and that you did most of the work.
Zane told Carl that? I mean, it's true, but it also gives the wrong impression that I could have done this on my own without Zane, and that's not true at all. Well, the idea might have been mine, but Zane handled all the financial details. He's the one who studied the financial reports to see what we could budget for the app and the website, and the additional prizes we didn't secure from outside businesses. He also figured out how much we needed to charge to make this worthwhile, so I couldn't have done all this. I gesture out to the gym, without his help.
Is that so?
Carl asks, a strange expression on his face. Absolutely.
Well, good job to the both of you then.
Carl wanders off to watch the events closer, leaving me to wonder what that was. But I don't have time to think about it too long because Felicia runs up to me with numbers from her contestant. And suddenly I'm busier than a gift wrapper at Christmas putting numbers on the board and moving the magnetic tiles around. Chapter 19. Zane.
The first day of competition is over, and I'm exhausted to say the least. The contestants appeared to have fun, and Belle's live streaming brought in 4 new signups during the day. But that won't be enough to save this place completely. We still need a lot more money coming in to do that. I haven't shared that with Charlie yet. I don't want her to lose her excitement, but it weighs on me like a millstone around my neck. With the gym quiet, I take the time to do my workout. I've been so busy the last few days that I've let it slide, and I can feel the pain in my knee getting worse. So even though it's late, I have to work it out. Slipping my earbuds in, I begin with a warm-up on the treadmill. The knee is achy, but the increased blood flow does seem to help a little. I move on to my upper body. Can't have it wasting away. And by the time I'm done, beads of sweat are coursing down my back. But at least my legs should be warmed up enough for the intense workout I'm about to put them through. I start with the leg press and manage to push out 10 reps. But when I move to the leg extension, a muscle spasm freezes my leg and sends a sharp, searing pain shooting through my knee. I grimace, clutching at it as the weight crashes back down. The ache is unbearable, like the old injury all over again. I reach down to massage the knee and then try to stretch it out, but the pain only worsens. It appears I have pushed it too hard, and I curse myself for not taking the time the last few days to exercise. At least no one is here to see this, but the downside is that no one is here to help me if I need it either. At least I can always call Patrick if I have to. I slide out of the seat as much as I can and then grip the bar to stabilize myself and help me stand. As I put pressure on my leg, another flare of pain shoots through my knee and a groan escapes my throat. Man, this is so not good. I don't want to go back on crutches. Maybe if I ice it and then take a hot soak, it will be okay. I take a limping step and stop. Charlie stands in the doorway, her face a mix of concern and disbelief. She must have come back to grab something she'd forgotten. I take my earbuds out and glare at her. What are you doing here? Her eyebrows lift in surprise at my gruff voice, but she ignores my question, firing back one of her own as she strides toward me. What are you doing? You look like you're in agony. She looks down at my knee, her hand hovering near my leg like she's unsure whether to touch it. I'm fine, I lie, standing up straighter and attempting to mask the pain. Just a little cramp, nothing serious. Charlie does not buy my excuse. A cramp doesn't make you look like that. Did you hurt your knee? My jaw clenches. She's too perceptive. It's nothing. Old news. Just a flare-up. Her expression softens, but she folds her arms across her chest and quirks an eyebrow. How old? College, I admit reluctantly, glancing away. Soccer injury. Her eyes widen. You played soccer in college? That's amazing. Yeah, it was, I say, my voice tinged with bitterness, until I tore my ACL in my junior year. Rehab didn't go as planned, and that was it for my dreams of going pro. After that, no team wanted me. I couldn't even get through the draft process. Oh, Zane. She places a hand on my arm, and I'm surprised both by her touch and the softness of her voice. I'm so sorry. That must have been devastating. It was, I admit quietly. Soccer was everything to me. I lived and breathed it. When that door slammed shut, I didn't know who I was without it. I went into finance because my mother was an accountant, and numbers have always been easy for me, but it wasn't my passion, so I pursued management. I didn't actually think I'd end up managing a gym. Ironic, isn't it? Did Carl know? About your knee, I mean? She asks softly. No, there was no reason to tell him, as it won't affect my ability to manage this place. I'd appreciate it if you kept this information to yourself as well. It's not something I want everyone knowing. I won't say anything, but no one here would hold this injury against you. We've all overcome something in our lives, and I know the people here would rally around you. Or they would use it as an excuse to show corporate that they shouldn't have hired me, I mutter bitterly. Do you really think that, after working with us the last few weeks? Her voice has taken on a hard edge. Wow, I thought you were becoming part of our gym family here, but I guess I was wrong. Charlie, wait, But it's no use. Charlie holds up a hand to tell me to stop, shakes her head, and then walks away, leaving me alone in the gym once more. Nice job, Zane, I say, chastising myself. You've managed to push away the one person you needed to be on your side. I shake my head in disgust as I hobble to my office to grab my things. I'll have to make it up to Charlie. I'm just not sure how. Maybe Patrick will have some ideas. Chapter 20. Charlie. I'm still fuming when I enter the apartment 20 minutes later. How did it go today? Hannah asks. She's sitting on the couch with her laptop on her knees, probably studying. The event went fine. The contestants seemed to have fun, and Belle's live streaming brought in a ton of views and some signups. Well, that sounds like a good day, Hannah says. So why do you look so upset? I sigh and plop down on the other end of the couch. It's Zane. I thought he was becoming part of our gym family, but it turns out that he's still an outsider. Hannah closes her laptop, puts it on the table, and turns to face me. Curiosity lights up her face, and I know I'm in for one of her therapy sessions. What makes you say that? What did he do?
I cross my arms and sink further into the couch. I accidentally left my wallet in my locker at work, so I returned to the gym to get it. I didn't expect anyone to be there, but Zane was. Evidently, he'd been working out, but when I came in, he was groaning and could barely stand. I asked him what was wrong, and he basically bit my head off. It's like he doesn't want anyone's help. Hannah tilts her head, studying me. Did he apologize? I shrug. Sort of. He told me he'd injured his knee in college playing soccer and how losing his career changed him. But then he told me not to tell anyone because he thinks someone at the gym would tell corporate to try and get him fired. I can't believe he thinks so little of us after the last few weeks. Hannah leans forward, her voice soft. And why does that bother you so much? He's your boss. He's supposed to maintain an image of control. I blink, caught off guard. Yeah, but no one at the gym would do that. Are you sure? I open my mouth to tell her that of course I'm sure. But then I think about Damon and Randy. They're team players, sure, but they both wanted the management position as much as I did, and they haven't spent as much time with Zane as I have. Is it possible that they would use his injury against him? I'm almost positive, I finally say. She leans back and taps her lips with her finger. So, if you're not positive, and you know everyone better than Zane does, could you see why he might also not be sure? Yeah, I guess. I sigh. I jumped to conclusions again, didn't I? Maybe, she says with a soft smile. The bigger question is, why are you so upset about it? You didn't even want him as your boss 2 weeks ago. I know, but he's not what I thought. We've been working together to save the gym, and I thought we were becoming friends. That's all. Uh-huh. Hannah's skeptical tone makes me shift uncomfortably. What? I ask defensively. You're acting like he insulted your best friend, or kicked your puppy. Hannah presses her lips together to keep from grinning, but I can still see the corners twitch. Charlie, you're upset because you like him. I scoff. I do not. Zane is grumpy and stubborn and hot, Hannah interjects. I gape at her. That is not the point. Maybe not, but it's true, she says with a smirk. Look, Charlie, I know you. You're not the type to get this worked up about just anyone. If Zane were just some random guy, you'd brush it off and move on. But you're sitting here venting to me about how he hurt your feelings. That's not nothing. I open my mouth to argue, but can't find the words. My mind flashes to the moments we spent together planning this competition, to the time when I thought he was going to kiss me, to how he trusted me enough to share his story about soccer. Then I think about how my stomach bunches every time Penelope mentions another blind date. I'd thought it was just because the first 2 were such disasters. But could it be because it's not Zane? Oh no, do you think it's possible I do like him? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Hannah chuckles and shakes her head. In my almost professional opinion, I'd say it's a distinct possibility. But it doesn't matter, I say quickly. Even if I do, he's my boss. And after tonight at least, I'm pretty sure he doesn't feel the same way. Hannah gives me a pointed look. Charlie, you're amazing. Anyone with half a brain can see that. If Zane doesn't, he's either blind or in denial. Either way, you should give him a chance to figure it out. I groan and cover my face with my hands. This is such a bad idea. Or it could be the best idea ever, Hannah counters. You'll never know unless you try. I peek at her through my fingers, her words stirring something in me. Maybe she's right. Maybe it's time to stop running from the possibility of something more. The next morning, I get to the gym extra early in hopes of finding Zane before the competition gets going for the second day. He's in his office, but he doesn't look like his normal self. Dark circles surround his eyes, and his shoulders are slumped forward as if he's carrying the weight of the world on his back. After the way I acted last night, maybe he is. "Zane?" I ask softly as I rap at the doorframe. "Can I come in?" He looks up, but I don't see the normal light I've come to expect.
"Of course. I was hoping to talk to you too."
"Please, let me go first. I shouldn't have acted the way I did last night. Though I don't think anyone would use your injury against you, I can't be 100% certain. Since you don't know the people here as well as I do, I can see why you might worry about that."
"I'm sorry too," he says. "I let my bitterness about my injury impact my judgment. I shouldn't have done that."
"So, are we good?" I ask hesitantly. I don't know exactly what I'd been expecting, but this reaction is definitely not it.
"We're good," he says. "Why don't you go get ready for today's competition?"
"Oh, okay," I stammer, confused. Hannah must have been wrong after all. Zane might have been more friendly with me, but it's clear that he doesn't see me as anything other than an employee. "I guess I'll see you out there later."
"Yep, I just have some paperwork to finish and then I'll be there."
I step out of Zane's office, still confused as to how Hannah and I both got it so wrong, and nearly collide with Penelope. "Oh, I'm glad I found you before the events kicked off for the day. I wanted to tell you that I got date number 3 set up." "I don't know, Penelope. I'm kind of busy with the competition and—" I stop myself before I blurt that my heart isn't in it, because then she'll want to know why, and I can't exactly tell her that I have feelings for my boss who clearly does not return them. "I know you're busy, but I promise this date will be low-key and stress-free. Plus, I am so confident that this is the guy that I'm not planning any more for you." This catches my interest. Another blind date sounds like a nightmare, but the thought that this could be the last one makes it a little more bearable. "So even if this date turns out to be a disaster, you're done fixing me up?" "Yep," she says, looking suspiciously confident. "And you'll still do the killer workout?" "A deal's a deal," she says. "So what do you say? Will you do the last blind date tonight?" "Sure, why not?" "Good. Here's the address. He'll be expecting you around 8 tonight." She hands me a piece of paper with an address, but no name scribbled on it. "Where is this?" I ask, trying to pinpoint the address in my head. "Is this someone's house?" "Just go," she says, rolling her eyes. "I wouldn't send you somewhere unsafe. I promise." "Okay, but I'm texting this address to my roommates. If I go missing, at least they'll know where to start looking." "You're not going to go missing. Stop being so dramatic. It will be great, I promise." And with that, Penelope scurries off, probably to gather her supplies for the smoothie challenge. Chapter 21. Charlie. The wellness competition kicks off with a bang. Everyone who could brought in a blender, and the contestants are mixing ingredients together to present the perfect smoothie. Zane has agreed to be the judge, but I don't see him anywhere. Belle is busy filming the smoothie making, so I glance around to see who else could go looking for Zane. Felicia stands a few feet away, and I motion her over. "What's up?" she asks, though her attention stays focused on the scene in front of her. Can you man my position for a second? Zane is supposed to be judging, but I don't see him, and I need to go find him. Relax, she says. Zane's right over there. As she points, I see Zane emerge from the crowd. He's still limping, and there's a large brace attached to his knee, but he doesn't seem worried or bothered by it. Did I miss something, or did he take my words to heart? The bell goes off to declare the end to the contest, and I turn the wireless mic on. Okay, contestants, pour your smoothie creations into the cups we've provided, and then place your cup on your designated number on the judges' table. Our new manager, Zane Adams, will be tasting each of your creations and deciding which is the winner. Zane hobbles closer to the table and waits for the cups to appear. When they're all placed, he takes his time examining each one, sniffing it, and then tasting the contents. He must be a very good poker player because I see no change in expression as he moves from one cup to the next. Finally, he puts the last cup down and then looks over them one more time. The entire gym is silent, awaiting his declaration.
These are all very good, he says, and if we had a smoothie bar, I would stock every one of them. But, as there can only be one winner, my choice for the top smoothie is number 4.
Yes! I see a petite woman with fiery red curls punch her fist in the air. I knew the cinnamon would put it over the top. I add her points to the tally board, and then it's time for the hula hoop contest. After that, the tug of war begins, and the day ends with the fitness scavenger hunt. By the time the gym closes, I am beyond tired. The last thing I want to do is go on one of Penelope's blind dates. But I did promise, so I grab my bag and head for the door. Before I leave, though, I stop at the front desk to check in with Beth. How did we do today? Good, she says, glancing over her notes. We had 10 new sign-ups, and all of the classes are filled to capacity tomorrow for the bingo. I blink. Even my Move It or Lose It class? She smiles. Yep, even that one.
Wow, that is amazing.
It sure is. I don't know if it will be enough to save the gym, but you've done a fantastic job, Charlie. You should go out and celebrate. I sigh. I wish I could, but I have another one of Penelope's blind dates to go on. Thankfully, she swore this was the last one. Oh, that's right, Beth says. Well, try to have fun. Her words are innocuous, but the way she says them makes me wonder if she knows something about this date. I'll try. See you tomorrow. Once in my car, I put the address in my GPS and follow it to a house on the edge of town. There's no car in the driveway, but a soft light shines from the windows, and the porch light illuminates the area leading to the door. I check my phone one last time to make sure the text I sent to my roommates went through, and then I head toward the front door. Penelope better not have been kidding about never sending me someplace unsafe. I knock on the door and hold my breath as I hear footsteps approaching from within. But I am unprepared when the door opens and Zane smiles at me. Zane? Did I get the address wrong? I look at the piece of paper again, but it matches the numbers on the side of the house.
Nope, you're at the right place. Come on in.
He steps back and holds the door open, allowing me to enter. His living room is cheery, though more masculine than ours, with its leather couches and blank walls. I don't understand, I say. Penelope said this was my third blind date.
It is, he says with a smile. I'm sorry I couldn't take you somewhere adventurous, but I've got an excuse.
He looks down at his knee. I stare at him, my brain struggling to process what he just said. Wait, you're my blind date? Penelope set this up? He nods, the smile on his face a little sheepish now.
She cornered me a week ago asking if she could do matchmaker profiles for the people at the gym. I told her I wanted to see how it worked first, so I filled one out. You and I were almost a perfect match, so I figured I'd throw caution to the wind and let her set this up. We've spent so much time together lately and, well, I wanted to see what it'd be like to spend time with you outside the gym.
My heart does a weird little flip at his words, but I try to play it cool. You wanted to see what it would be like to date your employee? He chuckles, rubbing the back of his neck.
Okay, yeah, when you put it like that, it doesn't sound the greatest. But tonight I'm not your boss. I'm just Zane, your awkward blind date who happens to have a bum knee and a soft spot for you.
The air between us shifts, and I suddenly feel a little less annoyed with Penelope's meddling. So, what's the plan for tonight, Zane, my awkward blind date? He grins and gestures to the couch.
I figured we'd keep it simple. I've got a stack of movies, a fridge stocked with snacks, and the world's most comfortable couch. I figured we could hang out, watch something, and just relax.
It's not kayaking or some fancy dinner, but the thought of cuddling up on that couch with Zane sounds way better. That actually sounds kind of perfect, I admit.
Good. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. I'll grab us some drinks.
Are you sure? I mean, I could get them. Let you rest your knee.
My knee is fine, he says, waving me off. Besides, it's my house, and you're my date. I'm not sending you to rummage around for stuff.
That makes sense, and I sink into the couch, which really is as comfortable as he claimed, as he heads to the kitchen. A soft blanket is folded over the back, and I pull it into my lap, feeling strangely at ease. Zane returns with 2 glasses of soda and a bowl of popcorn, setting them on the coffee table before taking the spot next to me. Close, but not too close.
So, he says, holding up a stack of DVDs, what's your poison? Action? Comedy? Rom-coms?
Rom-coms, I say without hesitation. He raises an eyebrow, but doesn't argue, slipping a disc into the player. The movie starts and we settle in, the awkwardness melting away with each laugh and comment about the overly dramatic characters and their awkward situations. At some point, Zane shifts closer, and I don't pull away. By the time the second movie rolls around, my head is resting on his shoulder, and his arm is draped casually around me. This is nice, I murmur, barely paying attention to the screen.
Yeah, he agrees, his voice low. It is.
I don't want to leave when the movie ends, but I have an early class the next morning, and I have to make sure I have enough energy to lead it. This was really nice, I say. I wish I didn't have to go.
Me too, he says,
struggling to stand and then holding out his hand to me. I take it and he pulls me up beside him, but he doesn't let go of my hand.
How about we do this again soon? He asks,
his voice low and husky. I'd like that, but are you sure corporate will be okay with you dating an employee?
No, I'm not, he says, shaking his head. But I think dating you will be better than any job.
My eyes widen in surprise, but before I can say anything, Zane leans forward and places his lips against mine. All thoughts of protest fly out of my head, and I wrap my arms around his neck, pulling him closer. This is probably a very bad idea, but it's been so long since I've been kissed like this that I decide to throw caution to the wind as well, and just enjoy the kiss. Chapter 22. Zane. I'm still flying high from the kiss with Charlie when I enter the gym the next morning. It's workout class bingo day today, so I won't see her as much as normal, but I can wait. We've already planned to meet up tonight and watch another movie. However, when I see Beth staring at me, my good mood deflates.
What's the matter?
I ask. Carl is in your office. He said he needed to talk to you and that it was important.
Okay, thanks.
I try to swallow the anxiety building in my stomach. A visit from Carl could only mean 3 things. 1, he's here to congratulate me on how good we're doing. 2, he's here to tell me that it isn't enough and he's finding a new manager. Or 3, he's found out about Charlie and me, though I have no idea how, and he's here to fire me. Either way, my chances of this being a good thing are small. I enter my office and find Carl sitting at my desk. Not a good sign.
Hello, sir. To what do I owe this visit? Shut the door behind you, would you?
He asks gruffly. Definitely not a good sign. I shut the door and turn back to face him, feeling a little like I'm facing a firing squad.
I'm here about Charlie,
he says bluntly. A prickle of unease spreads through me.
What about her? She's been busting her tail to make this competition happen. The sign-ups, the live streams, the prizes. It's all because of her.
I know that, I say, shifting on my feet.
She's been incredible. I've told her that.
Carl shakes his head, unimpressed.
Telling her isn't enough, Zane. She deserves more than a pat on the back. What are you getting at, sir?
Suddenly, I have the feeling that he's going to tell me he made a mistake in hiring me, and that he's going to give the manager position to Charlie instead. I want to be angry about it, but I find that I'm not. Only a little sad that it means I won't see her every day.
I'm getting at the fact that she needs a promotion. After seeing what she's done, there are some at corporate who think I made the wrong decision in promoting you. I understand, sir. But I know I didn't, he says, interrupting me. Charlie is amazing for coming up with this idea, but she admitted to me that you were the brains behind the financial decisions, and that she wouldn't have been able to pull this off without you.
She did? I blink at him in shock, trying to figure out what his words mean then. Is he going to move Charlie to a management position somewhere else?
She did. So I did a little thinking, and I've convinced the board to allow me to create a head of activities position. It will mean a small reduction in your salary, but it would be a management position for Charlie and allow the 2 of you to continue to run the gym together.
I want to celebrate and tell him that I don't care about the money, but there is one more question that I have to get answered first.
Before I agree to this, sir, can I ask, is there a company policy against dating a fellow manager?
Carl stares at me for a moment before his lips pull into a wide smile and he begins to chuckle.
So you do like her. I thought I noticed something the last time I was here. No, there's no policy about dating a fellow manager, as long as any issues in your relationship never present themselves in the gym.
I grin back at him.
In that case, sir, I think promoting Charlie is a wonderful idea. Good.
He stands and comes around from my desk.
We'll tell her tonight after the bingo game is over. Yes, sir.
We shake hands and then Carl leaves my office and I sink down in my chair. I'm so happy for Charlie, but how am I going to keep this a secret the whole day? The rest of the day crawls by at a snail's pace. Every time I see Charlie, I have to fight the urge to blurt out the news. She's in her element, checking in on classes, updating the bingo board, and chatting with gym members like she's known them all her life. Her energy is magnetic, and I have a hard time not stealing her into my office for another kiss. During a break between classes, she stops by my office with that radiant smile that's quickly become my favorite sight in the world. How's it going in here? You've been locked away for a while. I smile, masking the excitement bubbling under the surface.
Just keeping things running smoothly. How's bingo day treating you?
Pretty great, actually. Everyone's loving it, and we've already had 2 people fill their cards. Belle's handling the prize distribution like a pro. She leans on the doorframe, her eyes sparkling. You coming out to join the fun?
Maybe later, I say with a chuckle. I've still got a few loose ends to tie up with finances first.
She tilts her head, studying me. You're acting weird. I stiffen, scrambling for a response.
Weird how?
I don't know. You're smiling more than usual. Did you win the lottery or something?
I'd say I got pretty close last night, I say, enjoying the red that climbs her neck and flames across her face. She glances behind her at the open door.
Zane, you can't talk like that here. What if people find out?
I shrug. I'm not sure I'd mind that. Penelope is going to know anyway.
Charlie's eyes widen and she claps a hand over her mouth. Oh no, I forgot about Penelope. I can't tell her the date went badly, but what if she blabs about us being together?
It will be fine, I say. I have a feeling that everything will work out exactly like it's supposed to.
She narrows her eyes, clearly suspicious, but thankfully a member calls her name from the main floor, saving me from further interrogation. I'll get to the bottom of this later, she teases, before disappearing into the gym. As the evening approaches and the bingo game winds down, my nerves kick into overdrive. Carl arrives just as the last few participants are collecting their prizes. He gives me a subtle nod from across the gym, signaling it's time. Charlie is wrapping up a conversation with Belle when I approach her.
Hey, can you stick around for a bit after this? Carl and I need to talk to you.
Her brows knit together. Talk to me? Did I do something wrong?
Not at all, I say quickly. It's nothing bad, promise.
Her curiosity is palpable, but she nods. Okay, sure. Once the crowd clears out, Carl and I lead Charlie to the office. She looks between us, her lips pressing into a thin line. You two are being very cryptic, and it's making me nervous. Carl chuckles, clapping her on the shoulder.
Relax, Charlie. This is good news. Corporate has been so impressed with everything you've done, not just for the competition, but for the gym as a whole. You've gone above and beyond in ways we didn't even know we needed.
Her eyes widen. Well, thank you, but what does that mean? I smile and take over.
It means they're creating a new position for you. Head of activities. It's a management role with a raise and more responsibility, but it'll officially recognize all the work you've been doing.
Charlie stares at us, her mouth opening and closing as if she's struggling to find words. Wait, you're serious? You're promoting me?
I nod, smiling. You've earned it, Charlie. This gym wouldn't be what it is without you.
Her eyes glisten, and she wipes at her eyes to clear any escaped tears. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. Thank you, both of you.
Carl pats her shoulder again. You deserve it. Now don't let this go to your head or I'll have to deal with Zane complaining about you taking over his office.
Charlie laughs. I promise to keep my power in check. Then her expression turns serious. But what about us? Carl, I have to tell you that Zane and I are considering a romantic relationship. He holds up a hand to stop her.
I know all about that. Zane filled me in earlier, and I'll tell you the same thing I told him. If you can keep your personal life from affecting the gym, then corporate doesn't care.
Really? Thank you, sir. Carl nods and exits the office. Charlie turns to me, her smile radiant. Did you know about this all day?
Guilty, I admit. It was torture not telling you." She shakes her head, still grinning.
"Well, you're forgiven. Wow, I can't believe this is happening."
"It's happening," I say softly, taking her hands, "and no one deserves it more."
Her gaze locks with mine, and in that moment, I'm sure of two things. Charlie is incredible, and I'm the luckiest guy to be by her side. "We both deserve it," she says, and then she pulls my face down to hers. When her lips touch mine, I finally let go of the bitterness and resentment that's been keeping me back. I may not know what the future holds, but with Charlie by my side, it definitely looks brighter. Epilogue. Charlie. Thank you all for participating in our first ever gym competition. Did you guys have fun? I ask the crowd gathered before me. Cheers and clapping erupt, and someone lets out a whistle. Oh, good. Well, before I announce the winners, I just want to say a big thank you to all who joined us. We had 50 regular members compete in at least one category and 40 new sign-ups. I smile at Zane, and he gives me a thumbs up. We still aren't sure that it will be enough, but we have more ideas planned. All right, now you know we had some mini competitions. Our bingo winner from trying different classes is Kenneth. Come on up here, Kenneth. Kenneth approaches me looking happier than I think I've ever seen him. Evidently, one of the classes he tried was Zumba, and he fell in love with it. Now he comes every day with a smile, and he's stopped trying to Google the best way to do things. I hand him his award, and he holds it up, poses for the picture Belle is taking, and then high-fives everyone as he goes back to his spot. Because this is something we're hoping to continue next year, she wanted to be sure to get pictures for the social media posts. Our next award is for the most gains in strength, and that award goes to Chloe. Chloe was so quiet when she came to my first class, but she has a quiet determination about her. She took everything I told her and implemented it, and even though she's small, she was able to do nearly double her starting reps with every single strength exercise. I hand her the award, and she takes it, pauses just long enough for Belle to snap a photo, and ducks back to her space in the crowd as if she's afraid that I'll ask her to give a speech. A few people around her issue their congratulations, and her face flames red. Our final single award is for the best smoothie recipe. Diane made the most amazing raspberry peach mango smoothie bowl with a hint of cinnamon. We'll have some samples for everyone to try, but come on up, Diane, and get your award. Diane comes forward, but she's shaking her head. I don't think I should win. I'm a chef. It's sort of an unfair advantage. That was never in the rules, I say with a smile. Besides, it's not often that people make such healthy smoothies that don't taste like chalk, so you definitely earned this. And I'm pretty sure that everyone here would love the recipe. Am I right? The crowd yells their agreement, and Diane thanks me and takes her award. Okay, and now for our final winner. This person had the most points over all the individual events, and that person is Brian. The crowd cheers again as Brian makes his way forward. I hand him the huge gift basket of prizes and step back so Belle can take the photo. Now a picture of the staff, Belle says, motioning for the rest of the staff to join me. We all crowd together, and she takes the picture. As everyone begins to disperse and go their separate ways, Penelope approaches me. Hey, Penelope, I'm sorry you didn't win any of the prizes. She was close on a few, but just couldn't seem to get over the top on any of them. She shakes her head and smiles. I won the best prize. Seeing the two of you get together and making my first match a success, that was all the prize I needed. How did you even know that we would work together? I glance across the room at Zane, who is talking with one of the other trainers. Honestly, at first I didn't. But then I saw the way your eyes would stray to him during some of our workouts, and you were always talking about him. Complaints, generally at the beginning, but they became fewer and fewer. Once Zane took his test and I saw the compatibility score, I just knew. But I also knew you wouldn't have agreed to it at first. My eyes widen as her words sink in. Do you mean to tell me you set me up on bad dates on purpose? She shrugs, a look of chagrin on her face. Well, not the first couple. Anyway, I wanted to give you this. She hands me an envelope. What is this? Open it, she says with a smile. Curious, I turn the envelope over and open it. Inside is a beautiful wedding invitation. You want me to come to your wedding? Of course I do. You're the reason I'm getting married in the first place. If you hadn't helped me lose weight and find confidence, then I never would have found Martin. So, you better be there, and I expect you to bring a handsome date. She looks back at Zane and then winks at me. Thank you, Penelope. I wouldn't miss it for the world. She gives me a hug and then waves goodbye. I watch her for a moment, amazed at how far she's come. Everything all right? Zane asks from behind me. I turn to face him and grin. Everything is fine. Penelope invited us to her wedding, and it just made me realize how much we do beyond helping people lose weight. A wedding, huh? He takes the invitation from me and scans it. You know, this kind of invitation so early in a relationship would make most men run away. But not you? I ask playfully and hopefully. I hadn't really considered that when I showed him the invitation. Not me, he says with a smile. I'm not going anywhere. Good. Me either. I think we've got something amazing right here. I wrap my arm around his waist and survey the community we've built. This isn't the end of a chapter. Instead, it's the start of something new. For the gym, for the people we've helped, and for us. And I couldn't be happier. The end.